Call this September 8th, 2014 meeting of the Mount Airy Town Council to order. Let's start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we had a public hearing at 7:15 to discuss the political sign ordinance. I see there are no presentations. We have no guest speakers tonight. Moving on to approval of the council minutes from the last couple meetings. Anybody have any, the July 7th and the August 4th meetings? I remember we passed on the July ones because Chris had a number of changes.
I'm assuming they're all highlighted in yellow.
Incorporated?
Yes, yes, those changes have been incorporated.
I'll make the motion, Peter.
To accept both?
Both of them, yeah.
Second both? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, do we have, Debbie, it doesn't say this, but do we have to do the public hearing minutes as well? It doesn't actually list those.
Right, and it should.
Okay. All right, well, I will move we accept the
Yeah.
public hearing
Oh.
minutes from the August 4th meeting. Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Got to work off two agendas here because I have the one I got today and the one that I've already marked up.
Depends on when you got it.
When I got it, Bob goes, the one in red is the final version. But see, I marked the one up ahead of time that they give me. So, okay. Police report. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Trooper First Class Jordan Snedeker. It's nice to finally have the occasion to come in today and speak. I've been assigned to the town since April, but I've been assigned to the Westminster Barrack for about 7 years. Now, the council should have a stat sheet, which I laid on the table. It has all of the things that we've done in the month of August. There was a few things of note, and I know that I've become aware of the issues in the Nottingham development, as well as Twin Ridge, in the with the juveniles and people throughout the neighborhoods causing issues. So that issue has been addressed, and I know personally I've excuse me, I spent numerous amounts of time in both of those developments, just driving around and looking out for people in the evenings. One also, recently we received a complaint about Ridgeside Drive, and I've made it a point to sit there also in the evenings. As far as specific stats here, we conducted 106 business checks, as well as 151 other patrol checks. Those are the official numbers. However, I can tell you from experience, basically working down here is driving around the area. It's always almost a constant patrol check. So I'd like to just have everybody keep that in mind as well.
It's not in there.
Some other notable things that we have here. There was 23 alarms, business and residential alarms. We assisted other police departments 14 times. We've handled 12 disorderly individuals, 12 calls for disorderly individuals. Conducted 28 follow-up investigations on open cases, 10 juvenile complaints, 16 citizen complaints where they request an officer to talk to them, 18 suspicious vehicles or persons, and 38 school checks. The total call volume for the month of August was 399 in town and 21 out of town. As far as the traffic enforcement goes, it doesn't I don't have the total amount of traffic stops, however, there were 99 citations, 172 warnings, 32 equipment repair orders issued. There were 5 DUIs, apprehensions, 6 motor vehicle accidents investigated, resulting in 5 of those individuals being charged who were at fault. There are also 8 minor vehicle collisions, which we call code 89s, where there are no injuries and minimal property damage. There were two CDS arrests, 2 drug arrests, 4 non-drug arrests, 3 warrants or summonses. There were 33 community policing activities done, and those would be things as being at the schools for dismissal or in the morning when everyone arrives and things like that. As for some notable incidents in town, there was an armed robbery. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with that. That occurred at the 7-Eleven, and that was, let me see here. That occurred on 8/13, August 13th. And to my knowledge, that case is still ongoing and open at this point. Basically, a individual brandished a firearm and demanded money, and was able to leave the area before anybody could get there. Is there any other questions or anything that anyone would like me to?
Hi, my name's Bob King. If there were complaints about juveniles and vandalism and all that, would that be both of these? So 13 complaints for the month, a 10 and a 3, or is it just the 3?
A call like that, if there's information that the caller says where there's some indication that there might be a destruction of property, that would be categorized as a malicious destruction, which I don't know if it's on there or not. Yeah, vandalism, right. A juvenile complaint would be something such as juveniles, acting disorderly in a park, or such as like Watkins Park up there,
CR.
and things like that. So, depending on the situation, it could be really
Okay.
in that kind of situation. It also depends on the decision of the dispatcher of how they actually code the incident. So.
Okay. I'm just curious because I would like
Sure.
to know how many complaints we're actually
Actual
getting.
complaints. Trooper, I do have more of a comment for the public, just so they know, because the issue has come up twice within the last 30 days.
Yes,
The
sir.
town of Mount Airy does have a 10 p.m. curfew for those under 18. I believe, no, that was not specifically brought up the last meeting, it was another issue. But anyway, kids under 18 are not allowed to be on the street unless they are en route to or from an event, a school event, or a purpose otherwise noted in the code. I'm going to actually put out a notice of that in the next mayor's report. I've actually put that out in previous mayor's reports. There has been some, I don't know if you want to call it ambiguity. State police weren't sure whether it was to be enforced. It is definitely to be enforced. It will be enforced. And I want the citizens of Mount Airy to know that it will be enforced with a lot more vigor than it was before. We've had somewhat of a flurry there were some parties up by Promenade Lane. There's a little bit of activity in Summit Ridge. I just heard about an event in Twin Ridge. There was one back in April. All in all, as far as person-on-person crime, Mount Airy is still probably one of the safest places to be. But we have mischievous children that are out there, teens, and we will be enforcing our curfew. And the state police, I think we've clarified that with the lieutenant, that they will be enforcing. We're also meeting with the Corporal Knows, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. To go over some recent issues, just to kind of get back on track. We've had a change in management with Corporal Knows, and I think we need to improve some communication. All in all, state troopers doing a fine job, but we want to look into some increased community policing, and look forward to that meeting that we're having next week at 7 o'clock. I hope you can be there. We're asking for all the officers that can be there to be there.
I wasn't invited as of right now, though.
Well, you just got it.
Well, you did, and everybody else should be getting an invite, 'cause it's very important for you to be there. I want to looking to kind of revamping and revisiting where we're at. John Stewmeyer's our liaison. He's not here this evening, but he follows up on a number of these issues, and I want the citizens to know that we will follow up. And we're going to have mischievous teens. It's very difficult to be at every street corner at every hour of the night, and they're going to dump trash cans, they're going to do some things. All in all, I think it's pretty low, but we're going to find the ones that are roaming around, and they better have a reason for being out there.
Okay?
Thank you.
Tell me something, on the armed robbery, who was the first responders? Who handled that? Was that state police, Frederick County?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was, there was a sheriff deputy that was near Mount Airy. Trooper Thompson, the trooper that was working that evening, was at the barrack for an assignment. And obviously she rushed down here immediately, but
We'll talk about communications. I found out about 7 o'clock in the morning from Councilman King. So we'll talk about that communication as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company report.
Good evening. We had a fairly busy month in our line of work. That's not a good thing. For rescue calls, we had 94 in Carroll, 59 in Frederick, 8 in Howard, and 1 in Montgomery, for a total of 162 calls. Fire calls, we had 13 in Carroll, 10 in Frederick, and 1 in Montgomery, for a total of 24 fire calls. So that gave us a total of 107 calls for service in Carroll, 69 in Frederick, 8 in Howard, 2 in Montgomery, for a total of 186 calls for the month of August. Some of you may have heard, we have for many years maintained 3 ambulances, 3 transport vehicles. Unfortunately, with the reliability of vehicles over the years, it was sort of, you needed 3 to make 2 be always available. We kept the one in semi-reserve status, which meant that it was not alerted, but if a third crew came in, if we had back-to-back calls or whatever, they could staff it. Going back and looking at our statistics, we really didn't utilize that third unit that much, and we had bought 2 ambulances at the same time, and they are both actually overdue for replacement, and we're in the process of replacing those. So what we decided as a company was to cut back to just 2, to owning just 2 ambulances. But we are putting back in service our chase vehicle, which is fully equipped, it just doesn't transport. So that will be a backup, and it'll also be used extensively in Frederick County to upgrade their ambulances. What we have available to us now are 2 reserve units in the county that we can bring down and use if one of our vehicles is out for service and whatnot. So we still will be able to maintain our 2 transport vehicles. And as I said, we have ordered we will be shortly ordering a new ambulance. About a year or so ago, we changed and went to a heavier, larger chassis ambulance, and I think we paid about $225, $230 for that. We've already been told to figure at least $250 for the new one. So prices are going up, and no one ever thought we'd be paying that much for ambulances. You used to pay that much for fire trucks. But anyway, we will be purchasing another new unit so that we'll have our 2 units in service. And speaking of purchasing things, we have to pay for it. So we have some activities coming up this month, getting back in the swing of things here now that summer's over. On September 11th, this Thursday, we will have a fundraiser at Memories. There will be a donation to the fire company for all food purchased at Memories on Thursday evening. So either before or after you go to the town event, go to Memories and have yourself a meal. And we will be participating in the town memorial service.
Okay.
We will be there. We will have a piece of apparatus.
That's the Patriots Day
There.
up at Pine Grove Chapel at 6:30.
Yes. And on the 27th of this month, we will have our annual wing feed, and tickets are still available for that.
Get there at 6:30.
And remind you that on October 5th, which is the first Sunday of October, we will have our fire prevention open house from 1 to 4. And finally, I have a letter which I'm going to present to the mayor, but I would like to read at this time for the record. Dear Mayor Rockenberg, in a September 3rd letter to the Mount Airy Messenger, former mayor and town official Dave Pyatt stated in reference to the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company's public denial that the carnival grounds are for sale, quote, "That doesn't square with many past decisions between the town and the MAVFC, as well as through legal correspondence over the past 5 years." End of quote. The fire company found this statement most confusing. Immediate past President Thomas Walters, who served during the last 5 years, has no knowledge of any such discussions or legal correspondence. The only, quote, "legal correspondence," end quote, we can recall is the fire company's official request for rezoning. Because rezoning the carnival grounds has become a contentious issue in the town, and given that a public hearing on the matter is scheduled in 2 weeks, the fire company respectfully requests that the town of Mount Airy officially release copies of any such, quote, "legal correspondence," end quote, and any minutes, recordings, or other correspondence related to this matter that indicate that the fire company's intention to sell the carnival grounds once rezoned. The fire company feels strongly that all factual information related to the rezoning should be made public. Thank you for attention to this request, and so to my signature.
Thank you, President.
Thanks, Bruce, although I think we've released all that stuff, because I don't think any of it exists. I mean, I've been here for the
There's an
5 years,
RFI
I have
there.
never heard that.
There's an RFI there.
If I could, I'd like to, since it was official request, I'd like to refer to the town attorney for the proper procedure for procuring that type of
For an RFI?
information.
Well, I have to see the letter, but I'm assuming it's in the form of
PIA request?
Yeah, he'll be able to send, there's a procedure
Yeah,
for filing
well,
that,
we do have a time issue here, so that's why we made.
and we respond within 30 days.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, town staff will look at it.
But it's duly noted on the record, sir.
Yes.
Thanks, Bruce.
You'll handle that between Debbie and... Yeah. That's the way the work gets done around here, Bruce.
All right, community concerns, citizen comments. We've set aside 15 minutes for that. I'd like to see a show of hands of everybody who wants to speak during this time, obviously.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, 4. Okay, so I see 4, so we're gonna give you all about 3 minutes. About 3 minutes each, all right?
You understand me if I talk that fast?
Yeah.
Rick Blatchford, I live in Nottingham. I want to talk a little bit out of turn with about a subject that's going to come up later as we discuss a recall provision. I'm going to leave that part out. I have a quote from the Encyclopedia Britannica about what recall is. It basically says that recall is very common. It talks about the recall of California Governor Gray Davis back in 2011, I believe it was, or no, that was 8.
Oh, it was way before that.
2003.
Yeah, it was wrong.
Got it right there, 2003. Last year's attempt at the Wisconsin governor to recall. So this is not an unusual process in the United States. We're going to be talking about the recall provision a little bit later, and I want to talk about it now because I want you all to have a little bit more time to think about it, because I understand the procedures, and if it's moved to be put on the table and isn't seconded, there will be no discussion. Is that the proper procedure? It's just dead. So I want to let you think about it a little bit more before you do that. The people of this town should be aware that if each of you refuses to second the motion, it will die on the spot with no discussion to be had, and nobody will know how you particularly feel about recall. And I think the citizens of the town deserve to know how you feel. A failure to second is a wimp out. It should be discussed. Each of you will get off, if it's not seconded, by not having to state your reasons for objecting. If you do not publicly discuss, or if you vote against a recall, you are telling the voters of the town, you, the politicians, feel that you hold a superior position to those who put you at this state. That attitude is totally contrary to the foundation of our country. I've already talked about Gray Davis being recalled in 2003. Scott Walker survived a recall attempt just last year. Does the town council of Mount Airy consider itself more sacrosanct than the state governors? Please think about that question. In business, you are hired for a job. If you are hired for a job, generally the person who hires you can fire you. Most employees are at-will employees. You serve at the will of the people, and you should not have an extraordinary privilege of serving out a term should those that hire you finally get buyer's remorse for whatever reason. Your discussion and your vote will tell us how you as politicians consider yourselves. Are you more privileged than the people who put you there? I've often wondered about those who oppose the recall, and I've run into a number of them. What are you afraid of? Is there something going on? Your discussion and vote should be done in a manner to enlighten the town voters. If you have no fear of reprisal, what's the problem? And or, if a significant voters of numbers want a council member out, why would they want to stay? Will there be any public discussion? Will a second to that? Will there be a second so that discussion will proceed? If not, the people and the newspapers should take note.
Rick, just to let you know, I have already agreed with Councilman Everett that I will second regardless
Well,
of how
that'll
I
come up
vote.
later when you discuss it.
So just
you'll-
let you
you'll
know that it will get a
You don't
second.
need any pre-advertising.
But the only other thing, we do have recall. So I just want to
What's
preface
that?
that. We already have recall on the books.
I'm talking about the motion that's going to be made tonight about recall for no reason.
Right.
Okay,
That's
sorry.
specifically what I'm talking about.
Thank you, sir.
So will there be any public discussion or will there be a second? If not, the people in the newspaper should take note. Which of the current councilmen will be willing to carry on his life so that he has no need to be concerned about the subject of recall? I myself can't imagine why you would object to it. It makes me wonder. Why? Something going on we the people don't know about. Should the subject get into discussion and you are opposed, it would be appropriate for each of you to explain why you feel that the interest of the voters should be subjugated to the interests of the council. Should it not get into discussion, I urge the voters to question the lack of openness. Do you fear recall? If so, I'm compelled to wonder why. I've already talked about that, so I'll skip to the next paragraph. If it gets to the discussion, I encourage the voters to listen closely to any arguments against recall. Do they make sense to you? Are they logical? Should there be a second so that discussion is, or should there not be a second so discussion is avoided? There will be a message there as well. Perhaps the council prefers not to have their opinions known. Watch your representatives at work. Are they working for you? Are they afraid of recall? If so, why would that be? My final statement. There is nothing in the town code that guarantees any elected person a full, uninterrupted term of office. Nothing in the town code guarantees you that.
Just to make me clear here, Rick, now you're talking about recall, or are you talking about recall without a cause? Because you keep
I
saying...
just clarified that when Scott answered. I did. I said recall without a cause.
You keep saying recall.
All right, then it is. I'm talking about
You
recall.
you keep saying recall, you don't see recall without a cause.
I'm telling you now, recall without a cause
Okay,
is
just
what
make
I'm
my
talking
mind clear
about.
what you're saying, because you keep saying recall.
Recall without a cause
We
is
have recall, but you keep saying recall without a cause, and that, I mean, you don't keep
Isn't
saying
that
that.
what's being proposed tonight?
Yes.
We have two on the table, actually. There's two on the
Councilman,
agenda.
The one's going to be proposed, and that's recall without a cause, correct?
Actually, both.
There's
They're
two
both
on,
being
There's
proposed?
both on the agenda
Well, let's
tonight.
put it this way, I'm for all of it. And I am, because you work for me, and if I don't like what you're doing, okay?
Well, that's
I can't
there now,
put it
Rick,
any more
that's,
bluntly
we
than
have that now, that's what's got me confused.
can it
We
be
already
more-
have that recall.
Can it be
I will
more
say one
specific?
thing, that I don't know this for certain, but I suspect that there's a strong possibility that the only reason recall is being addressed in the last several months is because I brought it up a number of months ago. Isn't that not correct?
yeah.
I did.
Can it be more
So
specific?
I'm not claiming responsibility for it, but I'm talking about recall, period. With a cause, without a cause, you work at the will of the people. If you don't think so, you've elevated yourself to a position where you should not be.
And Ken, the first ordinance for recall without cause that I have, what it does is it repeals the existing recall ordinance, because the existing recall ordinance has a list of conditions. The ordinance that I'm proposing is recall without cause, period, done, end of sentence. Citizens don't need a reason.
I understand, I'm just questioning what, he keeps
Well,
saying
and it
recall,
also-
I'm not
it
recall
also
without a
raises
cause.
the
You
That's just-
understand
Are
now?
we having the recall discussion?
I understand.
Yeah, no, let's,
Good point. You
Rick,
okay now?
Rick, are you done?
I'm done.
Thanks, Rick. Who's up next?
Thanks, Rick.
If you don't all run up here, you're not going to get a chance. So who wants to go next?
Good evening.
Welcome.
Mayor, council president, and council members, employees, ladies, gentlemen. My name is Jim Rowe. It's R-O-W-E. I am running as a write-in candidate for District 4 for County Commissioner. I was born and raised in Union Bridge to a farm family. I still have a small farm. I'm a nurse. I teach at 2 colleges part-time, and I own the Buttersburg Inn, and I'm a great baker. I would come to you tonight to tell you that I've been in your county or in your community for the past several weeks, probably about a month and a half now, meeting your business people, meeting your citizens, and I have to say I've been treated very well. Being a business owner in Union Bridge, it's a small town and it's dying. And I feel like we are dying as communities, and we need representation in District 4 with somebody who's going to be worried about what's happening in our district, not what's happening outside. I'm in it to win it. I've been told it's very hard to do, it's impossible, it's next to none. I don't believe any of that, okay? When I graduated from high school, my counselor said, you were looking at your grades, looking at your schoolwork, which I hated school. You'll be nothing more than a factory worker. Well, I'm a nurse. I teach at 2 colleges part-time, and volunteer fire departments have my heart because I'm worried. We have elderly out here that are underserved. We need to do something for our elderly. I want to see our elderly. I owned an assisted living for 12 years, Brookfield Manor Assisted Living. Well, it was Brookfield Manor Assisted Living. I want to see our seniors age in place as long as possible. Because when I get old, you're going to come to my farm and drag me out. And probably they'll be taking me by Union Bridge, ambulance 8 to take me out because I don't want to leave. I'm concerned about our schools. I'm concerned about our education. I'm concerned about all the lawsuits we've had. I'm concerned about the money we're losing. I'm concerned about repealing the impact fee, the hotel and motel tax, because this is money that now we don't have. And then the Educational Opportunity Fund, I have a concern. When I asked about that, Audrey Semino said it's not coming from the school system. It's coming from excess money. Well, if it's excess money of $800,000, I could tell you a lot of things I could do in Union Bridge, New Windsor, Mount Airy with that money. You all have a lot of economic development. We lost our only gas station. We lost our only grocery store. Dollar General's okay, but it doesn't cut it because they don't have fruits and vegetables. We grow a lot of our own stuff, so we're lucky out there. But I want to represent you all as your county commissioner. I want to work with the 3 towns. In the last 4 years, and I served on Union Bridge's Planning and Zoning Commission.
We typically do allow politicians to come in during the 15-minute citizen comments and allow them to speak. We'll have another one the beginning of November.
In October.
October? Okay. So it is common.
And without any further interruption, I just wanted to say that I'm here to help the citizens because I see it in all levels. We see it in Union Bridge, we see it in New Windsor. So I will be a write-in candidate, and it's not that hard to do a write-in, and I have a great support staff, and I would just like to say I'm here. If anybody wants to meet with me, I'm willing to come meet with them, talk to them, and talk about the visions I have to work with the other county commissioners to get us back on track, because our county office building personnel are very unhappy, and we're losing good people, and we've lost a lot of good teachers. So we don't need to keep losing people, we need to retain. Just like our sheriff's department, we train officers, they go to another county. It costs a lot of money to retrain people. I've done it. I was the regional coordinator for health services through the health department, and I worked 5 counties, and every time we had a layoff, I had to retrain nurses. It became very expensive. We didn't save money in the end, we lost money. So thank you for your time and your patience, and I look forward to see you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm short, and this will be quick. My name is Jeff McGee. I live at 1312 Longbow Road and had a few things to share with the community. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints this Saturday is having a blood drive from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. over at the chapel there on 7255 Ridge Road. And while that blood drives happening, you've got your car parked while you're waiting in line to get processed. The Cub Scout Pack 622 will be doing a car wash. And, yeah, so we are helping.
It's right
them.
across from Watkins Park,
And
right?
when I gave it Lori in on Tuesday, they didn't wash my car. I'm waiting for you guys next time.
Gotta make it, all right. But then there's one more thing we're doing. This is a big day. To help support our Rails to Trails project for the town, we are organizing a volunteer group. We are targeting more than 100 volunteers to come in that day. We're hoping that this will be a record-setting day for service hours to the project. And really anytime from 8 to 2 p.m. we'll be there. We've got a couple different stations we're working on. And it'll be a great way to build up an appetite for the Wing Fest that evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks. And the Rail to Trail project's coming along. That's a big work day, and actually there's quite a few work days, so keep an eye on things for work days. Hey, Gary.
Mayor, councilmen, citizens, what precipitates my presence here tonight is during the last election cycle, I got a threatening letter from the town for political signs, and I'm sorry I didn't come here sooner. I thought it was 7:30. I got here at 7:25, so obviously I missed whatever happened before then. The wife and I were very concerned about this letter because we're into the second decade of owning these properties. I've always had the same size sign and have never gotten any letters or condemnation from the town or anyone for my signs. Okay, and be that as it may, they're not on residential property, they're on commercial property. I pay the town a lot of money, you know, because these things are zoned commercial, all right? And it doesn't seem to be any separation between that. The other thing is constitutionally, this is a form of political speech, one of the most sacred parts of our Constitution. And it's been brought to my attention that there have been other situations like this in the state of Maryland in which the municipalities have lost because of the constitutionality of political speech. Basically, I don't think one size fits all. I've never put a large sign on a residential property in town, and I don't intend to. So, but I really don't like, to me this, well, to a lot of people I talk to, it just reeks of selective enforcement. So the reason I'm here is because, I got these letters. Until someone can tell me that this is constitutionally wrong, I really don't think that I should have to change something that the town has allowed me to do into 2 decades. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Gary. The property you're talking about is the one at the corner where you go to Walmart, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Fry, if I could just very, very briefly, as far as selective, first of all, we will not hold past administrations guilty for not enforcing our town ordinances, and I've always felt if a law was wrong, you change it. I think the council is looking at that now. I can assure you it was not selective. Anybody that had a sign exceeding what's allowed in town received a letter, regardless of who they were. They all received a letter. It's not selective.
My point is that, like I said, this has been going on for
Yeah, I can't speak to people not enforcing our laws. That's,
No, yeah. But then
Thanks.
too, like I said, one size isn't fit all, it's not a townhouse.
I think many people here agree with you.
Thanks, Gary. Gary, that house, is that actually zoned commercial in the corner there? Okay, thank you.
The Walmart?
The one from Walmart. Because it is a house. I knew people used to live there, so I wasn't sure what the zone was. Is there anybody else? All right. Master plan presentation. I see Heather over there smiling. She's been working on this for so long, as well as our master plan people.
And yes, I don't know if anybody is aware, but we have been working the past few years to update the 2003 Comprehensive Master Plan. Bill, Lindy, and I got together 3 weeks ago, and we talked about a huge presentation that we were going to come before you with, and it was going to be about 30 to 40 minutes. And we were rather excited about it, and I was telling people, and they're like, 30 to 40 minutes? So you're going to get the abbreviated version tonight, but we are no less passionate about our final product. Tonight, you will receive, on behalf of Mayor Pat's birthday, perfect timing, huh?
Which day was it? September 7th.
You
One day
will be
late.
receiving the Planning Commission recommendation for the comprehensive, the 2013 comprehensive plan. It has 2 volumes, as anticipated by Peter. The first is the actual plan, and then staff has put together a comment book. It was important from the Planning Commission that the Town Council see the 60-day review public comments that were taken into consideration to come to the final draft. So I will give this set to Mr. King.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we will ensure that the rest of you get your set before the closure of the presentation. Bob, really?
He's lost it already.
It's not gonna stay there.
You're making it kind of obvious.
Chris, can you?
I know, I have a rule, Heather, it's too big if it can't stay on the table by itself, you need to shrink it.
Oh my gosh, you're like breaking my heart. Now, you will be receiving additional comments as part of the town council process. You know you're holding your public hearing. The community has been very involved, and I don't expect that to change. I expect that you're going to have a large turnout at your public hearing, and that's what we want. This process has been very involved and very interactive. There are many elements in the plan, and they're too numerous to mention to be respectful of your time and your busy agenda. Generally speaking, the plan represents a 10-year planning horizon, and the opportunities that are presented in this plan, in essence, are meant to add to the quality of life of Mount Airy. Bill Butts, our Planning Commission Chairman, will be speaking more towards those qualities that drove the plan, and Lindy may come up for a while and speak to something that she's most passionate about, and it's about maintaining the character of the town. There was, in order to prepare for this update, we used U.S. Census data, we used the 2007 survey, we used the 2012 Community Needs Survey, but we also went back and looked at plans, the previous town master plans from 1970, 1973, 1980, and then 94, and of course 2003. The ironic thing that we noticed was that in every plan, the character of Mount Airy was what was most important. And even through the growth that we've had, Mount Airy's character still remains, and we want to continue it that way. So that, I would say, is the vision of the plan, that no matter how we grow, where we grow, or what we grow, we want to be Mount Airy. We want to stay Mount Airy. Thanks, Reach.
That takes on new meaning in these times.
Well, you know, these are the times.
Yeah,
and,
where are we going here?
We'll do a time capsule of this video. So at this time, I will pass the podium to a more eloquent speaker than
I
myself.
don't think so.
Did I get you to autograph my book?
We're,
Lindy and I were just reflecting that amazing how time flies when you're enjoying yourself. This process began in 2009, but if I were to ask you, so what are some of the differences between Mount Airy in 2013 versus 2003? That's the basis, to a large extent, of why it took 4+ years. Because when you start out and you haven't done a town master plan, they're sometimes called master plans or oftentimes called comprehensive plans. We learned the comprehensive adjective was very, very well deserved. There's a lot in there. I started to refer to it as the Prego master plan. Remember Prego's marketing line? Everything's in there, all the spices, all the flavors, everything. Well, when you're talking about the authentic character of a community and to put the heart and soul into it, as well as the structural requirements and the requirements that you're asked by the state in terms of updating your master plan, it becomes very, very comprehensive. We wanted to be sure to do that. In order to take where the community was in 2013 versus 2003, that wasn't possible with a couple of Band-Aids. A word change here, a phrase change there. We had to rethink it. We had to really look at where the town is at this point in its development. 10 years ago, we were still a gangling adolescent. We were growing rapidly. We were arms and legs. We were somewhat awkward, okay? That changed in the past 10 years. We're past that now. We're at a different point in our development. Some people might say it's a fourth quarter. We don't think it's necessarily a fourth quarter, but it's certainly a more mature point in our development. We also realized fairly quickly that there are a number of elements, there are a number of factors, call them all balls in the air if you will. They are dependent upon one another. Things like traffic, things like land use, things like our infrastructure, the opportunity and the importance of human infrastructure in addition to traditional streets and roads and water and sewer and all of those. Very, very significant, very fundamental, very strategic at this point in the development of the town. We put all that together, we realized we have to really understand how this fits together. And as you go through this, we've released to you drafts of each of the chapters. You've had that opportunity. This will be an opportunity for you to gestalt it, to look at it comprehensively, to see how the pieces fit together. And that's what we tried to do, okay? I don't know that we have everything in there that perhaps could be in there, but we think that the dialogue is underway. And we think, for the most part, the structure and the content, the heart, the soul, as well as the structure, is in place. We wanted it to be representative of the community. We wanted it to be pertinent as to where we are in terms of our development. And when we speak of development, we said we want this plan to be as much qualitative as quantitative. That's so important, okay? It represents what our people prefer. It represents their values. And it represents, from a planning standpoint, recommendations that we want to consider, okay? That's the background that we're offering to you to look at. We look forward to your feedback. We look forward to your questions. Heather and Lindy and I will come back, okay? We ask you to maybe channel your feedback through Heather and through Councilman Everidge, okay? Maybe you do it on a chapter basis. Maybe you organize it however is appropriate. But we want to hear your questions. We want to know where would you like to hear our rationale, our background, our combination of factors that cause us to make this recommendation or that recommendation. But we try to a great extent to tie it together to, to the largest extent that we could. The last thing I'll mention is we wanted the plan to be proactive. A plan that is not intended to be utilized. A plan that's intended to just sit there. That's not what we need. We wanted something that we're going to act on. And so you will find at the end of virtually every chapter goals, recommendations, recommendations for implementation strategies. And that's meant to be a tee-up to the actual operating plan that we hope to take once this plan is approved, and once it's tweaked, and there's additional public discussion of it, and your consideration and your tweaking of it as well, and then we start to implement it. That's what we're excited about. We want, for the benefit of the town, to put this plan in place, and for the enhancement of the community and what it can be as a result, to go forward as a result of the plan. So, we're pleased to finally deliver it to you. We look forward to the feedback that you provide to us and the additional public discussion that will arise over the next 60 days. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Most importantly, each of you are getting like little posted flags, okay? That's probably.
Very important.
What I want to take away, I mean, yes, it's been a long, hard, since 2009, is that what we really wanted was, in 2003, most of the public didn't really know about the plan. So that's why we've had so many, public hearings and all that. We want citizens to be involved. You like it, you don't like it, but at least to know that it's there and what we see as a vision. You guys have to read it.
I'm hopeful that all of your hearings will reduce ours. I remember we had the 2003, the council had multiple public hearings because there were so many people who came in to comment with the council. So I'm hopeful that, maybe by having you guys do a lot of it, we'll reduce ours. So thanks.
If I could, very briefly, I think the citizens have been inundated with the large yellow signs, and that's something we did do, I think, for the first time. While we always did it for zoning changes, this was the first time we were really proactive and had the huge yellow signs out there. Lindy's 100% right. In the 2003 master plan, I served on the planning commission, we had one comment from a citizen that did not have rezoning interest on the table at the time. One citizen comment. That doesn't speak very well. So good job this time around.
No, no. I just think everybody's worked tremendously hard on this thing. All of us in our different liaison positions have been asked for input. This is a draft master plan. I guess is it a draft or, I don't know, it's not final till we sign on it. But this is something that really
It's a
deserves.
recommendation.
Proposed, I guess.
Yeah, it's a recommendation of the planning
And it deserves our utmost attention.
Tom, what's our legal framework for this? We have to vote on it up or down within 60 days? Is there a time limit?
Yes, there's a statutory provision that says it's accepted if not voted on, otherwise within 60 days by the town council.
So,
Y'all got 60 days.
December 8th.
Well,
This meeting is the 1st.
will that be, 60 days from now, be October, so you get the beginning of November meeting,
And that'll be it.
and
Well, December, your meeting's on December 1st, isn't it?
60 days from when you,
September 8th to
from
October
now.
8th is 30 days.
November.
So 2
October 8th
meetings.
to November 8th.
October, November.
60 days. November 8th.
Oh.
Well, now
I
this
thought it
is,
was December.
We're talking early November.
Oh.
it would be the November 3rd meeting, which will work, because that will be within 60 days. I was worried that we'd fall, that we'd be one of those weird.
61.
Right, I was worried that we'd fall into that, but November 3rd will be 60 day, we'll be within the 60-day limit. Well, we're gonna have one public hearing, and we're gonna see how that goes, and we may set another one if, that, for those of you who don't know, the 9/23, is it 7? 9/23, so about 2 weeks, at the Firemen's Activities Building.
Doors open at 6:30.
Doors open at 6:30, meeting
Less
starts
than
at
sold
7.
between now
And we will be, if you're coming in to speak, you'll have to sign up ahead of time so we can kind of get some idea of what the number's going to be and try and divide the time accordingly.
And we're also going to post the properties.
They are up today.
The postings are up, so people around the community is posting up. And also, if I could say about this town master plan, it's the first town master plan that would have the benefit of 2 surveys, the 2007 town survey and the 2012 assessment. So a lot of work went into this particular
so
master plan.
Chris?
And the plan's also posted on the web. The accompanying maps will be up there tomorrow, so.
First of all, point of clarification, we've been discussing the master plan. The zoning changes, that's a separate issue, correct?
That's a separate issue.
So, we'll vote on the master plan, on November as you described, I'm recommending we also at the same time vote.
Do the zoning at the
On
same
the
time,
zoning
because they
at the
go
same
together.
time.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
Right, so
Well, you almost have to.
you almost
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
I would probably recommend you do the zoning at least 30 days out, because if on November 3rd, you could conceivably
Make a change.
But-
Yeah, so,
And then don't you still have to end up putting up the signs and everything that's
Yeah,
going to be considered for
and
zoning
the
and
other
giving up
issue
public
too
notice?
is that you're dealing with a change to 112, so you're gonna need a public hearing on the zoning change itself,
If we make a change.
if you may,
so.
right, if there are changes.
Right, so by way of flow then, perhaps the master plan is voted on the 3rd. Assuming there are no major changes to the zoning, we can set the public hearing for the zoning the following meeting, December, right?
I believe that works.
Are they both subject to the 60
An
days?
They're
introduction.
independent.
Yes.
No,
They're
the
actually
plan is different than the zoning itself. The zoning,
Zoning changes should be an ordinance.
yes.
Yeah, it's an ordinance.
Exactly correct.
Interesting. I knew they were split.
Yeah, the master plan itself does not effect any changes in zoning. That's got to be done by ordinance.
Right. Right, so I suggest, just so we get our calendar straightened out, suggest the public hearing on the zoning changes December, and then we vote on zoning in January.
Tentatively, yes, but my only thing would be if we really don't change anything in the master plan, I would suggest we just do it all at November and be done.
We still need a public hearing on
Well,
it.
that's, that's 15 minutes before, I mean, well,
But there-
actually,
there are-
This one's not gonna be
There
15.
are proposed changes, though.
I mean, the public hearing, isn't this public hearing gonna cover both bases? Or can it?
That's what I thought it
No,
was,
because
too.
you need to have a public hearing on the ordinance, because the
It's a
zoning
change.
map
All right.
amendments.
So then December is correct.
Yeah, and my thought is that the public hearing for zoning will be quite lengthy. It's not going to be 15, because we know there are
But
some
it's got,
properties.
but zoning has to match the master plan.
Oh, no dispute, but agreed, the master plan will be passed, and then the zoning will be discussed in light of the master plan, but I think we'll find some folks who are very concerned about zoning regardless of how the master plan.
goes.
What you're saying is you can vote on the master plan, then do the zoning afterwards? Is that what we're saying?
Will it happen
Yeah.
afterwards regardless? They're talking about how quickly can we discuss zoning?
I mean, we do the master plan, say in November, then we can have a meeting, or whatever we say for the zoning and vote on it, say
Well-
2 months down the road. Is that what we're saying?
Ken, what I'm suggesting is master plan, vote November, public hearing on zoning, December, and then we vote on zoning January.
What about your 60 days?
That takes you out 120
60
days.
days to approve the plan, meaning the
Zoning's
master
independent.
Okay.
There's no time,
So it's
there's no
not
time
subject
trigger
to
on
60
zoning.
The only
days,
thing I
huh?
would suggest, though, is that to have a public hearing on an ordinance in December, you need something introduced in November.
So that's why Chris is saying January for the
We only
vote.
do this every 10 years.
I can see, I can tell that's what he's thinking. He's thinking that way we'll get the ordinance, we'll introduce it in December, have the public hearing in January.
Oh, okay.
So he actually pushed it all back an extra month. I could see the gears working in his head.
Yeah, because the zoning, right,
I see
again,
what you're
clearly,
doing.
I mean, look, there is at least one property where the zoning is of interest to a lot of folks.
All right,
In the 2003 master plan, the ordinance was, the zoning map amendment ordinance was based off the recommended plan, but at the actual zoning hearing,
Same time.
there was additional comments that came in, and a few of those properties actually came off. So it's, you adopt the recommendation, but then, like, as Tom said, it doesn't affect the change, so there's still opportunity to.
But then doesn't the master plan change at that point? If you change the zoning afterwards?
we're just no longer in
Are you
compliance with our
required
own
to go
plan.
back and re-vote on the changed master
No,
plan?
no, we're just
That'd
out
be
of
a circular
compliance with
loop.
our own plan at that point.
I think if we make a change to the ordinance, the plan would be updated, right?
No.
No, if we zoned it differently?
What-
No.
Can you make a zoning change in conflict with your master?
Well, what you're pointing out is, when the master plan, once the master plan is approved, that is the guiding document for the zoning. So yes, so our vote on zoning should, I'm not the lawyer, but our vote on zoning should be in concert with the master plan. Now, again, that being said, clearly there are some who will disagree with the master plan and will still want to discuss and attempt to change the zoning, which is fine. That's the democratic process. So that's why I think
Okay.
I think the answer to your question, yes, we can end up.
Well, we got our
with
schedule,
different
November,
zoning than what the
December,
master plan
January.
says.
November, December, January, that's our schedule.
What's that gonna do to our signs?
It's got a life of its own.
they got to be
Our
done in 60
signs-
days. Just kidding.
It's gonna be confusing to the neighborhood, I'm afraid.
What,
It's
I'm
confusing to
sorry.
this table.
Well, they're inappropriately large
Signs
anyways.
for what? Signs, placards, or the sign ordinance, because
No, the placards.
The placard.
we will, the placards announce the public hearing on the 23rd, and that's it. If there's going to be another public hearing, we will update those signs.
Okay. They're on top of it, they gotta take care of it.
Let's make sure.
4 foot by 8.
No.
It's gonna be confusing.
They'll have to do another set of sign postings.
And we go above and beyond, people get direct mailings.
I know.
We mailed out over 300 direct mailings so that.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
Okay?
All right, let's move on to ordinances and resolutions. First up, 2014-14, the sign ordinance.
I'll move for approval ordinance 2014-14.
I will second that.
And a couple words or a couple thoughts with this ordinance. First of all, the ordinance is one thing and one thing only. It's a quick fix so we don't run into additional court challenges. The election season's here. Political signs are going up all over the place. This is a quick fix so we don't get in another fight. Some of the things we've heard before. Number one, we all sort of, the changes here. It eliminates the time restriction. It eliminates the time restriction because arguably, it's unconstitutional. It allows a larger sign size. Again, what we've heard tonight from several people. The town is allowed to regulate the size of the sign. The reason why we're using larger signs in commercial and industrial districts is so it's easier, commercial, industrial, and residential where commercial use is authorized, is so it's much easier for people to read it. A couple other points. There's a draft sign ordinance on the table. We'll get to the draft sign ordinance after the master plan, where we will revisit this issue amongst everything else. I'm well aware of the comments this evening made by Rita and Leslie about large signs potentially in residential neighborhoods. I do not want to prohibit folks like Dr. Burke, who spoke this evening, from putting a large sign on his property, even though it's because it's residential, being used legally commercial because he's on a major thoroughfare. And, finally, and this thought struck me as I was listening to Bill and Heather talk about our master plan. We talk about the character of our town. We talk about community, right? This is a simple, quick fix. Let's stop regulating people to death. Let's stop counting inches. Let's encourage political speech, right? Pass this thing and move on. So,
Chris, since I seconded, I've got one, just want to see if you're interested in it since I seconded. Perhaps one amendment to this, where it reads, it says, or on property in a residential district where a commercial use is authorized, perhaps suggest on property in a residential district abutting a state road where a commercial use is authorized. The rest would remain the same. That basically would limit it to only properties on 27 and Main Street, and that would basically take it out of any of your residential neighborhoods.
Main Street is residential, could have been away.
I understand that, but there are, but
So, well, we're going to speak.
I understand that, but it's still a main street.
So, Peter, I accept that amendment.
So,
I accept that amendment.
Bob, I think you were.
Okay, I got two clarifications here. Political campaign signs shall be permitted up to a total area of 6 square feet for each premise in a residential district. You're limiting me to one sign in my yard. If I want Peter Helt and Bob King elected in the next election, I can't put 2 signs in my yard. Okay.
It says per sign.
Signs, political
So
campaign
you can have as many
signs.
signs as you want. It can be 6
Shall be
feet per sign.
permitted
It says
up
signs,
to a
plural.
total of 6 square feet for each premise.
Right, but
That's
the-
each house.
That's each.
6 square feet for each house, 1 sign.
Well, it says sign, but at least my reading of it is signs plural.
Yeah, right here,
Meaning each sign can only be,
Signs plural.
Take out each premises, for each premises.
well, it has to be each person because that's per house.
Political campaign signs shall be permitted up to a total area of 6 square feet in a residential district,
Okay, so,
Per sign.
so, hold on. So I accept that amendment.
okay?
So
And then I have
wait, Bob, let me just make sure I get it
Say
right.
per.
Political campaign signs shall be permitted up to a
To a
total
total-
of 6 square feet
Per
in a
sign.
residential district.
in a residential district. Lisa, you getting this?
Yeah, it says per
Because
sign.
there's 2 amendments so far.
It also says per premise, per house, 6 square feet per house.
Right, he's dropping the for each premise.
Okay, so I dropped that.
And then I have one other point to make.
Oh, yeah, for each premise.
I'm in a business where we manufacture. And anytime we can get things manufactured, we can make them or we can buy them where they are standard size, 32 square feet is a 4x8 sheet of plywood. It probably costs 30%, 40% more to make that 4x6 because it's not a standard size. That's the reason for 32 square feet, 4x8 sheet of plywood, and everything comes standard size. Everything is geared for standard size, and it's far more expensive to manufacture to a different size other than standard size.
How about the 6 by
Scott?
6?
If you're gonna call out, you gotta come up the front.
Yeah, if you
Scott?
want to talk, it's up
So
there.
I have a few points to this that I just want to raise for everybody's consideration. First, we all agree about the time, that it probably is unconstitutional, and yes, it needs to be changed. We shouldn't have the time constraints. A couple points that were emailed to everybody, but I'm going to share with the public, was regards to signs. Let me find my piece of paper here. The first one, let's see, number 2. So political signs, everybody thinks campaign signs. I'd like to point out also, political signs are any signs that are political in nature, giving some type of message to the public. That can be anything of any type of message that somebody wants to put out. So I want to first and foremost say, talking about campaign signs, you can't limit it to the content of saying that's the only thing that this sign can be 4x8. Second point is our current ordinance does not purport to address what we'll call political speech signs as opposed to political campaign signs, nor does the current proposal as being worded. Our current ordinance, and again, the current proposal does not change this, and it can be read in one of 2 ways. The first reading can be that the ordinance does not authorize political speech and that it's banned, other than a campaign sign, because all we're talking about here is campaign sign, and we're not talking about political speech. If you read it the other way, it says that all political speech is permitted, but we're only going to allow certain types of political speech to be a certain size. Therefore, if we're going to end up saying political signs in nature, whether speech or campaign, they all need to be the same size, meaning that we need to take into consideration, if you want to have every single political message raised to an 8-foot by 4-foot sign, we can do so, but that will be what this change introduces. Another point is the extent that you're going to impose a sign limitation on political speech signs. Whatever sign size that we say for all political speech should be consistent, and it should be the largest size that we want to permit across the board for all of that speech. Otherwise, we are being unconstitutional. 2 more points. There's 2 changes that I would like to make to cover political speech. And this is in 112-11A9, where the first sentence says political campaign signs. I'd like to add the wording, or other signs containing political speech or expression of opinion on matters of public concern. That same wording I'd like to add just after the strike through in the same paragraph below, where it starts off political campaign signs, and add that same text, or other signs containing political speech or expression of opinion on matters of public concern shall be permitted up to that size. That way we're consistent across all political types of signs.
So Scott, could you repeat that again?
Sure.
Slowly.
The first sentence, political campaign signs, you would add in, or other signs containing political speech or expression of opinion on matters of public concern.
You're just expanding it to cover any type of political speech.
Correct. And then the same sentence change would be below after the strike-through where you have town zoning office is the last part of the strike-through, Chris. Just below, no permit is required, blah, 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 town zoning office.
Yeah, okay.
So after that, it'd be political campaign signs or other signs
Got it.
containing political speech or expression on opinion of matters of public concern.
Okay, I accept that amendment.
And the only last comment was again to what planning said. Planning originally approved this, but then they stepped up and said that they don't approve the one statement with regards to or property in a residential district where commercial use is authorized by Board of Appeals. I think that needs to be addressed with regards to this and however. we see
I don't,
fit.
a change to that I do not accept.
Okay, well, I will second the changes that Chris accepted, so we know exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
So at the moment, we're discussing Bob's removal of the premises part, my shifting of basically limiting it to
State road.
to
Residential district
residentially zoned properties that are being used for legitimate commercial purposes that are on state roads.
abutting state road.
And Scott's changes of
Was to
shifting.
make it all political
To make
speech,
it all
basically.
political speech.
So
That's what we're discussing now. So, I guess, Leslie?
Leslie Dickinson, 803 North Main Street. I have a comment about that exception about the state road. Now, I understand Dr. Burkett being on Route 27, but Route 27 is very different than Main Street. So perhaps you could have a different exception, like a major thoroughfare as opposed to a state road. I mean, you go down Main Street is in a residential district, you have the schools there. So if you want to, what was it, 32 square foot sign that's not a campaign sign, but some really perhaps somewhat offensive large sign at one of those businesses right there, right by the elementary school, because it has a political message, that could be something that you end up with, as Scott was
What
pointing
you're
out.
suggesting is instead of all state roads in the town, I was just thinking of a limit to any roads
Right.
that are over, basically with the speed limits over 30, is faster.
Well, how about,
That's-
the speed limit's 50 on Route
Right, let me ask
27.
And it's 35 through Maine, so I was just thinking those are the higher speed
Right,
limits.
but what I-
So let me ask
So we
a
certainly
legal, let me
look
ask
at
a
that.
legal question
Yeah.
at Tom. So if the intent is to shift to 27, is collector road a legal term? Probably not. 27 is a collector road, right? No, it's
is
not.
27 a highway?
It's a highway.
Yeah, Main
27's a
Street-
highway,
Main
so
Street's
therefore I'd say highway.
Road is a collector road.
Tom, if we
Highway.
wanted to, if
Limited
the
access.
suggestion was allow it across 27, but not on Main.
Maybe simply say.
On 27?
Abutting Maryland 27 or words to that
Would-
effect.
Can I make a suggestion? Would it be
I
easier
would
to
not
say
use
highway?
collector road unless you're prepared to identify what that means.
What's the speed limit on Main Street, Rita? Up by you? I thought it was 25.
It's 25.
Scott, good.
Highway.
So I always have to
Just
slow
put
down.
highway. State highway versus a state road. Then you've narrowed it down to it can only be on a highway. How many highways do we have going through town? And is there commercial properties on 808?
Yes, two.
No.
Two.
Yes, there are.
Two by the school.
Yeah.
So then you can't use highway, you can't use state road, you
Right.
can't use collector road.
You
I'm
could
just
go
trying
by
to think of
the
a way to
Speed
sort
limit,
this
your
out.
speed limit, got it.
We
It's
could
buy the
25,
speed limit.
I slowed down. It's 25.
The rationale is that you need to see it as you're going 50 miles an hour.
We might, maybe a speed limit is
I mean, going 25, you can see the smaller signs.
I like speed limit.
Yeah, I think speed limit.
Speed limit,
Speed
maybe,
limit, speed limit past muster?
Sure.
Okay, so,
Councilman Everidge, since you're allowed to regulate the size of any of the signs in any zoning district, so I think that,
no, I think we all
Oh, you mean
agree. We're just
comparing.
looking for the language.
I know, but you were saying, well, that passed muster, so, you mean just using Highway 20, or the speed limit instead of the
Versus
state
highway.
road? Okay,
Yeah, I'm just looking for the legal
All right,
language.
okay, all
I
right.
see consensus on the council.
Exactly what we're talking
all
about.
right,
Right.
okay, good.
Because we're trying to get this through tonight, so.
I got it, go on, sorry for the interruption.
No, it's a good suggestion.
Sorry about that.
So can we do speed limit?
yeah, why don't we get the other comments and come back and make that change?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Doc?
Michael O'Brien, 806 Park Avenue. In the master plan, it defines all the arterials and collector roads all the way up. I mean,
Hasn't been approved, though.
Well, with the old master plan,
even the old master plan, that hasn't changed. I don't
It has a
believe.
definition, you're right.
Has the definition, if you want a definition.
right, it does, you're correct.
So instead of speed limits, which could even vary on 27, add another, because it's 40, I don't know if it's 50 all the way through Mount Airy, but down county, it varies in speed.
If we say 30 miles an hour, though, I think it nails it.
But if you wanted a clear definition of roads, it's in the master plan. And I don't think that's changed in the 2003.
Dick Swanson, I live at 1107 South Main Street, and the speed limit there is 30. So,
Right, so I'm thinking speed limit's above 30.
although the prevailing speed is 45.
Peter, say any speed limit above 45 miles an hour, you put that.
I just want
On
to
any,
point,
any residence
Wait,
that
wait,
acts
hey,
in a
we're
commercial
losing-
capacity where the speed limit's
Gotcha.
above.
Dick?
We're losing.
I just want to point out, to make sure you understand that the verbiage about, for commercial use in a residential area, I would interpret to mean any property that has a variance, which means that if you're on North Main Street, right in the heart of the residential area, you have a variance to run say, a small daycare center, or maybe you work at home and have a home business, you could put that sign in front of your property in your residence. So I think you've got to do something either to eliminate it altogether or be very specific as to how that applies, because you don't want a pop-up sign because inadvertently somebody had a variance to run whatever it is, a daycare
Thanks, Dick.
center.
I think if
Scott?
we end up putting and the speed limit is above whatever value,
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what we're gonna end up at.
that would negate all of.
Yeah.
And I just want to just reiterate to what I said before with that. So I think that, you know, we've had over time, I've been here too long, I think, we've had a lot of, you know, division sometimes when one property owner wants the flexibility in certain residential areas of town to allow for a small business. And it, you know, becomes neighbor against neighbor in those situations. So I think it's very important, again, for when you do the ordinance, that it specifies there to, like you said, it's important to retain the character of the town. So whether Main Street was a state road back in the, you know, when the B&O Railroad went down and never changed from being a highway, it has a certain character now that is a central part of this town. And so to ignore that and to just say, oh, well, it's a state road, really is not in keeping with
we
the
get it.
character of the town. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate your consideration for things like speed limits. and things
Yeah,
like that.
and I think speed limit speaks to the character of a road too. Obviously, a faster road has less of a,
You're not going to see
Hometown
a campaign
character.
sign at 2x3.
So, Peter,
Not-
so,
It doesn't have a residential
Peter,
contingent.
the Fourth Amendment will be, and let me see if this works. The Fourth Amendment would be, in a residential district, in a residential district abutting a state road where the speed limit is greater than 30 miles per hour, where a commercial use is authorized.
sounds good to me.
What was the last three words, Chris?
Where a commercial use is authorized.
So,
And just
where-
continue with the rest of the sentence. Leave
Excuse me,
About authorized by the
going
board.
down to South Main, isn't the speed limit 35?
yeah.
Up top.
Up top, not North Main, that's
You need to-
25,
you
South
need
Main's
to
35.
Make
You
it at
better
least
bring
40,
it to
45.
36.
You could say 50.
Well,
I said 40,
But I'm not
above
sure,
40,
but where 27 comes through town, isn't it?
It's 50 all the
50.
way from Route 80, all the way in past Mount Airy. I drive
Well,
it
then
every day.
then Chris, let's do 40.
above 40.
40.
Above 40.
40.
Above 40.
42 and a
I know
half.
that, I know
Can I
that
hear
none of
60?
Main Street is
40.
above that.
40.
Yeah. It's 40 miles, Debbie, it's gonna be 40, and I'll second that.
So, all right, so the Fourth Amendment, Debbie, is 40 miles per hour. Make sure we get miles per hour, not kilometers.
No, the Fourth Amendment means you don't have to house soldiers.
Tom. The only point of clarification I would have for all the amendments, and I just want to make sure through Tom, since we're making so many changes to this on the fly, does it need to go back? Because there was that concern about going to planning and it has to go to them for
No,
review.
Scott, sorry,
I
Scott.
asked
mine-
Tom legal.
He's asking
Okay,
Tom.
I'm not
sorry.
asking you.
It
There
doesn't
was
have to go-
concern by,
Well, when you make, first of all, I'm not a believer that every change that you make to an ordinance that requires a public hearing, that you have to go back and do serial public hearings, okay?
Yep.
Now, at some point in time, the changes become so substantial that it becomes a real good idea, if for nothing else, than to insulate yourselves from a challenge to the validity of what you've done. Are these so substantial? I don't know. I mean, they are pretty, they're not insignificant.
But-
That's kind of just my off-the-cuff legal opinion.
My question is, why are we doing all these changes? It's only temporary till next spring. You're gonna be going through all this again. Why not pass it as it is and then
But let me
next
hit-
spring revisit it?
Sorry, Ken, let me just hit Tom's statement though. But Tom, so my intent is to pass it this evening, knowing what you just said. The changes are with the full intent. All we're doing in the changes is clarifying language. That's all. We're not
Defining.
changing, we're just further
I just want to
defining
make sure,
language.
because he had a
and
concern
understand,
before.
I'm not saying that you have to have another public hearing. I'm not
Okay.
saying that this becomes invalid if you don't have one. I'm just saying that, at
You
some
never know
point
when
in
you
time,
cross
you
that
never
line,
know.
yeah, legally.
Ken, if we don't change it, if we don't pass this tonight, then as soon as the election start going up, we're gonna have the same problem we did last time, which we just don't wanna do.
Can I just say that the people who were here for the public hearing on this issue are all still here. And so you know that the citizens of this town who are interested in it are still here. And I think that that is relevant in determining whether or not you need to have another public
And I
hearing.
think we've met the requirements of everybody who's here. If I'm correct, I mean, I think we've kept it from where you guys are, and we've left it where he is. So this should make everybody.
If you would stop giving us changes.
So if we dot the i's and cross the t's.
Okay.
Good.
We need to read back.
You want, Debbie can,
You want me to read it back? I have it.
I have everybody's, I think it's Scott's. That was a little.
I can read it back.
okay.
All right. Political campaign signs.
I gave her the highlighted copy.
All right, but let me just read it anyway. So, political campaign signs or other signs containing political speech or expressions in matters of public concern.
Are permitted.
Permitted.
Well, wait, Debbie's done.
I need a Coke. Does anybody have a Coke?
I just gave her the words that you just said.
Sounds good. Coke
Okay,
machine here.
so, hey, Debbie, can we do a read back jointly? All right, you want to do a read back with the language you have from Scott? Because we'll have it on the tape and record in.
Sure.
All right, so political campaign signs, now Scott's language goes in.
Or other signs containing political speech or expression of opinion on matters of public concern.
Okay.
Yep.
Are permitted, provided that they are not placed in the public right-of-way, period. No permit is required for political campaign signs, but the name and address of the person responsible for the sign must be listed with the town zoning office. Political campaign signs, Scott's language,
Or other signs containing political speech or expression of opinion on matters of public concern shall be permitted up
to a total of 6 square feet, now this is Bob's amendment, a total of 6 square feet in a residential district. You good so far?
6 square feet in a residential district.
And 32 square feet in a,
32 square feet.
This is all old language.
okay,
Okay, you know, let me go back to my next. 32 square feet.
in a commercial or industrial district, or in property in a residential district,
Or property in a residential district
abutting a state road whose speed limit is in excess of 40 miles per hour,
okay.
where commercial use is authorized by the Board of Appeals or otherwise by this code.
And the rest of it's unchanged.
And the
It
rest
says
is
right.
unchanged.
The Councilman Everidge, I'm sorry, when you said that
language that was previously struck?
No,
No.
it remained in there. And
That's
probably-
that's our old campaign sign ordinance where we all have to sign up when we're gonna post our signs.
Okay, I'm remembering
You're remembering what I remembered, but
Yeah, let's just let it go, because we'll,
I'm not, I apologize.
no, you're good. No, I understand, that's fine.
right, but it's okay.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Just forget.
I'm gonna assume we've discussed this enough.
I'm good.
All in favor, Bob, are you putting your pen
No,
up?
no, I'm,
He's thinking.
Yeah, you pushed the pen against your head. I
I'm
don't-
pushing the reset button.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous?
Can I suggest a 5-minute recess?
Okay, 5-minute recess. I want to get a Coke. We're going to get a Coke.
You can go
We need a
to,
Coke
actually Lorenzo's, isn't it?
Every
So
place is
you're-
closed.
You can run up the street.
Yeah, way up the street.
No, isn't the,
No, I don't. We're only taking a 5-minute recess.
Is my banner legal or illegal?
Depends on where it is.
We will get it in the spring.
If Billy Chapman put a banner up on the front of his building,
It would be now.
legal
Well, I don't know.
for a couple of months?
See, for example,
it's not in
my,
a residential community.
yeah, see, we're in the downtown, it's in the downtown
you very
zone.
much.
There you go, darling.
Downtown zone is not residential.
I didn't bring that up.
But would downtown zone be considered commercial or,
It's considered downtown. DTZ, it has its own zone, as defined.
I mean, for example, I know that the problem I have with my property. Yeah, I know when I try and get loans on my property, they tell me it's commercial.
I would say it's limited commercial or commercial it is too.
Okay, well, that means I can put my banner up.
Yeah, 4 foot by 8
If
foot.
it's 30, whatever, 32 square feet.
And then I can put mine up that says save puppies.
Yeah.
For me.
That is for you.
I don't want it, I don't want it. Make sure I get 2 by 1.
Yeah.
Well, I found a mistake.
No, they are. Oh, Peter, be careful. Did you just drop my book? No, there are mistakes there. As much as I, but that's all right, because it's just, it's not the final one. Yes, there are. And they're because of you. And there's two,
Yes, I should just snuck that in there as you're walking away.
but there, and there's 2 pages. When we pass it, then it will be fine. Yeah, there's 2 page 87s. But we'll fix it.
No name? Yes, just state your reason.
I'm just telling you, I'm for it if somebody comes forward and says, here's why, I don't even care if it's our first 7 business we have, it's, which are, more particular about
Yeah.
any of that. So that's the problem I have, is that it wants to revoke what's already, it's not a recall. That's already approved by, so we have that forward, but now it's trying to recall and revoke. That's what this is. So read through it, he's just trying to revoke the one that we
That
just
much I
approved.
understood.
And that's why I was concerned, and a couple people were saying, well, if you're against recall, nobody's against it. It's how it's applied. So the state, the federal, the state, municipals, everybody says,
Because then I have to update all my
you can end
data.
up having
It worked out.
different variants.
10 years, 2003, 2013. Don't even think it, Mr. Tom.
Yeah, that, I knew that. Which is pretty much making it impossible to get a recall going on. Well, but that one,
They can say, because I say,
So that's the public comments. And then just just hide it. Throw it.
Peter was the one that was
Whatever.
going, Tom? Sorry about your Cowboys.
No, I'm a Redskin fan, man.
Now you're a Redskin fan?
Well, I've always,
He did not
The
say
fella
that
to-
after the TMZ tape came out.
to your left, the fella formerly to your left was Big Cal.
Yeah, the TMZ tape just came out for Ray Rice.
I saw it. He is done. He got cut.
He is so dumb. Did he physically get cut?
He got cut, and he has been, definitely suspended by the national.
He should be after that. When I saw the video, I was like, it was even worse than what they said. And, you know, wow, he married his wife for what? Try and get out of it? Oh, look, I still love this woman. Yeah. Now, the other thing I would like to say,
Oh, it's just one game. Just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Let's see, bad. Watch RG3.
well, yeah, RG3 got clocked.
He was all because he holds the ball too long. He will not get the ball loose. He just constantly.
Victor's a Redskins fan, so,
Yeah, I think that injury has messed with his mind. He's not looking at the injury. He's looking at the pass rush. He's afraid to step into the pocket.
well, we've got nailed twice in his leg.
Well, yeah.
He could have had a career-ending hit. I'd be second guessing too. Sure. How about the one Bengal guy who had his arm knocked out of his joint?
Really, I didn't hear about that or see.
All of a sudden, you just saw like elbow kind of bulges out.
Oh, there. Yeah. That happened to a friend of mine in college.
Is that a career-ending?
No, they popped it back.
Oh, okay. It looked like it was one of those. Oh my God, you're done.
There are no markings.
He was in a sling for a little while, but
Peter, we got a minute. Peter, we got a minute back.
Okay. These guys, I mean, he's got Diet Coke, he's Diet Coke, Dr. Pepper over there. We need some place to stand where I get a Coke.
That's Bruce Lee. That's Bruce Lee.
I think you should bring a six-pack to every meeting. I think that's
What I
that's
was
not
saying
what I'm
here,
saying, of course.
This is fine, Bob Kenny. This is fine.
It's so big on you. It's so big. Where's your picture?
which one is that? Revamped. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
If you want to send it with the change, you get it right.
That's book number.
Yeah, I think so. I may need to consult with you, but you got it?
I made two copies.
Great. Thank you.
Bob can sign it. She posted it. Sorry. I thought that was very nice to do.
Somebody else do. I'm gonna
Sorry,
make it
my
five
brain
right.
Yeah, buddy.
You're up next.
Guess we all better vote for some type of recall tonight. We're in trouble, aren't
Yep.
we? Some type of recall.
Well, I'm glad at least the sign thing's behind us. Like I said to Pat, I said, okay, we're through one ordinance. We only got 3 more to go.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets progressively worse as we go. Recall, or 2, and then ethics.
Yeah, that's true.
When I saw that, I was like, ah. You guys, that's a minor one, the sign thing.
I think Gaithersburg's still holding out, though.
Are they, for ethics? There's only like, what, 2 total, us and
Petersburg still holding out?
1?
I'm gonna motion to table it till next week, next month.
You're just asking for it. I thought Dick made accusations that nobody else had refrained. Everybody had done it except for us now.
I think he did say that Gaithersburg and passed. I think Rockville is
Gaithersburg passed it? I don't think Gaithersburg passed it either, because when I was talking to them in MML, they were like us, very against it. Not one person could actually sit down and vote for it. And I didn't realize Rockville had passed it, 'cause Rockville and Gaithersburg were hanging out pretty stiff at the.
Rockville passed.
Okay.
She's gonna do one. I've been able to do it. Give me a thing, I've got to do that. That's a very,
Very what?
just exudes America. Did she put that for that? Leprechauns. Always out.
Okay, I thought I was doing right. Okay, let's,
Green tape?
Let's go back.
come back to, order here. All right. Okay, up next, we've got the charter amendments relating to the citizen recall. 2014-2, the without cause one, that is Chris's one, but we also have at the same time, and we need to really look at them together, 2014-3, because 2014-3's goal is to fix problems with what exists, and 2014-2's goal is to throw out 2014-3 and start
one.
again.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we really.
So my
so-
recommendation, the
so-
quicker one is just to put Bruce's change in for what's already approved, to fix what's on the books, and then talk about 2, because if 2 revokes it, well then,
If we pass 2, then 3 goes away, correct?
you don't even talk about 3. You don't talk about
Right,
1.
if we pass 2, we don't even talk
So I
about
think,
3.
and then if we don't pass 2, we still have to go back and fix 3.
Correct.
So I suggest we talk about 2 first.
I do as well.
Yeah, you're right, because if we talk about 2, we don't deal with 3 at all.
Right.
If we don't pass 2, then we go back, then we're doing 3.
And that's next on the agenda.
Whatever your
Yeah,
preference is.
it does make,
3's gonna be quick.
And for
'cause it's
citizens
just, do we
out-
agree with Bruce's changes? Yes, move
yeah,
on.
but still, but we need to look at
That's fine.
3, whether we want to keep 3 or not at all, so let's.
Okay.
All right,
Let's
so,
look at 2 first, which is yours, Chris,
all right,
and-
so I'll move that we pass Charter Amendment Resolution 2014-2, citizen recall without cause.
I'll second.
Okay, I had agreed to second it, but Bob's beating me to
Bob
it.
tried to second it at the last meeting, and
Okay.
we drew it back too fast.
So a couple comments. So what this does essentially is pretty simple. It just says that if enough citizens sign a petition, they can recall an elected official. It also removes one of the other interesting parts about the current recall with cause. The current recall with cause has got a section in there that says the council gets involved with the issue. Now, why citizens would present a petition and then have to have the council justify whether that petition's valid or not, that's really pretty scary in my book. If the citizens present a petition to recall an official, then that should be sufficient. So, and, lastly, I'll follow up on some of the comments I heard this evening from Rick Blatchford. Recall's not an uncommon process. Whoever hires you should be able to fire you. We serve at the pleasure of the citizens of Mount Airy. If for whatever reason they decide they don't want us sitting here, then, and they put together a petition, they should be able to get rid of us. They don't need a reason. So that's why I would appreciate support for this charter amendment.
What's the difference between the 20% and 30%?
The 20 and 30%, 30% was put in, originally I had it as 25, and I'd actually prefer 25. The 30 was put in as a suggestion from Peter back when we were trying to differentiate between,
To have a separation between cause and no cause. Because cause had 20% on it, so the idea was there should be some separation between the 2. Scott?
So I guess the first couple comments I have was that I believe this entire body discussed this and ended up voting on C5-12 for cause, including Councilman Everidge. said that, yep, I agree with this totally and voted for it. Now, at this time,
Ooh, I'm sorry, Scott, I didn't say I agreed totally with it. I voted for it because it was better than not having anything at all.
Okay.
I don't agree with a lot of the language in the one we passed. But yes, I did vote, better than nothing.
okay, but in agreeing with it, now you're trying to imply that the citizens do not have a tool in which they can recall an elected official if they decide that they want to recall them. And they do currently. They have that ability. Is it perfect? No, there's some changes, and that's what's coming forward in 2014-3, but we'll talk about that after this. Your instance is just revoke it without fixing those things that are broken. This petition right now is a little bit different, as pointed out by Councilman Phoebus, that we're increasing the percentage of people that need to do a petition for recall. So we're now making it harder to do a recall than they had to do before. And I would pose to this body, the citizens and everyone else, how many people actually came forward and voted in the last election? Did we have 20% turnout? Did we have 30% turnout? No. So in that instance, what's the odds we're really going to get 30% of the people to come out for a recall petition? Unless somebody does something so
You'd go door to
grievous.
door, you'd be knocking on the door.
Understand, but you have to have 30%. I think increasing it would be an issue because you now make a tool less wielding to a public if you're going to go for cause or no cause. I think the fact that in the no cause versus the cause said it had to be videotaped, there had to be a reason from the accuser, whatever that reason is, malfeasance, you didn't hold up to your political campaign promises, whatever. This just says unanimous or, without any indication of who it is, why you're being recalled or anything. It's just recall, here's a petition, done. There's no wording in here. It has been stripped out and deleted that they don't have to justify in any way, shape, or form their reason. Likewise,
You don't.
an accuser would have to say, here's why I don't like you. It doesn't have to be the grounds of, it has to be these 7 things we chose. But you, I think yourself, would like to know on what grounds am I being removed? Not the fact that the public doesn't have the right to remove. You would want to know, what was it? What did I do wrong? Not just because we want to remove you and I'm not going to tell you why. The actual video and audio taping of it has been struck out. There is actually no public record that is documented for anything in the situation. It has all been deleted out of the no cause. Whether that was to streamline the process or it was to remove the transparency to the public, it's not in here now. So I have a problem with that. Whatever the reason is for recall, we need to be transparent. We've all elected to do that. Another point is that what's the driving need for this change right now? Why are we all of a sudden going from a for cause that we just approved and got on the books to now all of a sudden we have to have a no cause? Is there some reason behind it that's saying we have to have a no cause reason right now? And if so, please let everybody know why is the reason that we have to have a no cause.
So when the council discussed recall with cause, I tried to get the council to go without cause, and I followed your suggestion completely. Your suggestion was, look, Councilman Everidge, and the tape will reflect this. Your suggestion was, Councilman Everidge, why don't we pass this now? And then why don't you, Councilman Everidge, come back with a change, which I've done. So I followed your suggestion. So point one. Point two, I would prefer to reduce the 30% to 25. I think that's more reasonable. So if you want to propose an amendment to reduce it to 25, I'll accept that. In fact, I'll probably propose it myself. The reason why the video stuff's been all stripped out is because we're on camera right now. So the way this amendment works is the citizens present the petition, it's validated by the clerk, and then it goes right to election. There's no testimony, there's no video necessary. And then the last point, wouldn't you want to know why? If a public official gets to the point where the citizens have joined together with a petition to get them out of office, I think common sense would tell you you've done something wrong, and you'll know that. Do we, as council members or the mayor, have the right to go and demand from the citizens, hey, why are you getting rid of me? I say not. If the citizens have decided they want to get rid of you, that's their choice. If they decide to give you a reason, sure. But to say that you don't like the fact that they don't have to give a reason, I think you would know that 25% of the folks in town signed, or 30%, signed a petition that said, I'd like to recall this councilman. It's just common sense.
Okay, so for the record, Councilman Everidge, I'd like to point out that what was discussed between us and agreed to was that you would make an amendment to what was passed and add in addition a no cause. But instead what you did is you want to revoke everything because you didn't like the way that it went according to your words, and put in a no cause in its entirety. So you didn't complement what exists already there for with cause and without cause. You just struck it all together and said no cause.
True, but let's not lose fact if that's true, because when I worked on the existing one, and I tried to change it, it just didn't come clean. So after working on the existing one, it didn't come clean. I decided, okay, let's just come up with something new. But let's not lose the fact that, because I think we're losing sight of this. The question before us, and I'll refer to what Rick Blatchford said, the question before us is pretty simple. Do you support citizens recalling us for no reason or not? It's a yes or no question that I think each council member has to answer. Either A, you support the fact that the citizens can sign a petition and get rid of you, or B, you don't. It's a yes or no answer.
Bob's up next.
You know, I think both our federal constitution and our state constitution, one of the things that we do is we protect the minority. Now, I'm going to just give you a scenario. Mr. Phoebus gets 6.7% of his people out to vote for him, okay, at an election. He gets his people out to vote, and they elect Ken Phoebus. And you don't like that, okay, because Ken Phoebus was not the one that you wanted, but the other candidate didn't get his people out. So now Ken represents, and this is in no way, I'm just using you as an example, Ken represents a certain constituency that elected him in this town. And now we have another group of people that are going to say, well, that's no good. That's not good for me. You know, I didn't come out and vote because, you know, I didn't think there was any way Ken could win. Well, Ken won. Okay? And Ken sort of had a contract. You know, I like the analogy of hiring people, but we hire people with a contract, and we write them a contract that for 4 years, they're going to serve the people of Mount Airy. Okay? And then another year later, we're going to have a revote because we really didn't like the results. And then maybe a year later, we'll have another revote because we really didn't like the results of the first revote. I'm concerned, and I'll publicly say it, I am not for recall without cause. Okay? If somebody does something that they should be removed from office, it's not the color of your tie, it's not that somebody doesn't like you, it's not that I couldn't get enough of my voters out to vote for me. We have a list of things that we've already accepted as a reason to recall a politician. And I think we stay with that and fix that.
So I could just address in defense of this, Bob, thanks for the example. I would disagree that we have a contract. I would rather state that we are at-will employees, meaning we can be terminated at any instance for any reason that the employer.
When I run for a political position, I run for a specific time frame. That's a contract.
No guarantee.
Understood. It's just a disagreement. I mean,
Right,
I see where you guys are disagreeing.
right. My position is that we are at-will employees, so
Right.
we can be terminated at any time. And then also, yeah, the example with the 6.7%, true. But if you got to go around and get 30% right now, I'd rather it be 25. If you got to go around and get 30% of the town to
That
sign a
number is
petition,
insignificant.
Oh, that's
okay? The number is insignificant on what you're doing for a guy that stood up and said, I will do this for the next 4 years. That's what I'm running for. I will do this for the next 4 years. And you voted for him. And now you don't like him anymore. So we can take our vote back and we can have a revote. And we can have a revote. Well, I don't get to redo anything in life. When I submit a contract, a bid, okay, and I win it, and I'm losing my butt, doesn't matter. I am locked into my contract.
Well, on that, I guess we'll agree to disagree, Rick Blatchford pointed out, the citizens decided they didn't want the governor of California, for whatever reason. And they got enough signatures, probably millions of signatures.
California's never my standard, Chris.
And neither is Florida.
Not Florida, not
So
Wisconsin.
so other states have decided, other municipalities have decided, for whatever reason, whoever they elected, they didn't get what they bargained for.
I can go through my
All right.
statistics here if you'd like.
Right.
On that, we'll disagree.
Scott's got something.
So, yeah, statistics about how many states and federal and municipalities have with
18
cause versus without. So, just for the record, almost everybody has with cause. Almost nobody at all has without cause. But that
I
said,
even have an article in here about,
yeah, we talked about it last time.
Wisconsin is trying to remove their without cause clause.
So a couple things that are different in here too, that I pointed out but was kind of glossed over, was with regards to involvement of the public. We removed evidence, which you said there really is no evidence that's needed. You need to just have a petition and that's it. We're going to end up having a special vote and be done. We struck out of D1, which is now C1, special public hearings, removed evidence to cause. What, if anything, for those petitioning do they need to bring? Right now it says nothing. No petitioners need to have brought any truth forward or anything justifying what somebody did wrong. Nothing. It just, like you said, it's because. And then another part that was struck out is who's paying for the petitioner's counsel, because that got removed out of here too. That was struck out. Is the town responsible now for every single time a petitioner comes forward and says, we want to remove Bob or Scott or Pat or whoever because they feel like it? That's not in here. It also removed public comments, which were in here before, for cause.
I think the need for counsel was removed.
Not need for counsel, this is
when you got
public
rid of
involvement.
the hearings and everything.
But, no, the hearings are in here. All the verbiage is struck out about public involvement. So literally, anybody can come by and do a drive-by petition with no justification in the current wording of this ordinance, and bring it forward and just say, you're removed, and there's nothing in
Scott,
that process that happens other than a petition showed up.
Scott, but I'm sorry, we're disagreeing, and that's...
Well, it's not disagreement, it's facts. That's what's in the petition, is that every public thing other than a petition showing up has been struck out.
But Scott, let's go up a little bit. We're
Okay.
disagreeing on something fundamental. Let me
We are?
take your
What?
points. Let me take your points. The need for evidence has been removed.
Okay.
Well, yes, because who's the judge of the evidence? To me, if 30% of the citizens sign a petition, recall Councilman Everidge,
Yep.
that's evidence. What evidence more do
What,
they
evidence
need?
that you got 30% of the people to sign a petition that doesn't state why you're removing them? It's just a petition, a piece of paper. It could be, I'll give you an example.
Scott, hold on. It's just a petition, a piece of paper. See, and that's
That
where we
has
differ.
nothing on it. I could go around and say, hey, sign a new petition for our park and just tell people that's what it is, and a petition shows up with 5,000 signatures on it. Now I drop off the petition because it doesn't say in here that you have to have the reason on the petition. It doesn't even say that you as a council member get to know what it is.
Councilman Pike got something like 500 signatures.
There's no justification
On
statement
this.
on there why it's being issued. It's name, birth date, and that's it. So to get any
The
petition like
would have to
that,
say, this is a petition to recall councilman or councilwoman, whoever.
it just says recall.
Well, right.
No, fine.
But again, let's go up a little bit.
Okay.
And again, I'll refer back to some of the comments Rick Blatchford made. Your intent is to throw in conditions. You have to show evidence.
No.
You have
You
to
can
have a
strike that one.
hearing, okay? My condition is there is no necessary evidence. If the citizens have made a decision on their own, they're done. They've made their
I got the
decision.
evidence part, but you didn't talk about who's paying for it.
I mean, guys,
I got
actually,
that part.
I think the real issue is there's a fundamental
Yes.
issue
But-
here. When
yeah.
you're getting into little details, but the question is, there's a bigger fundamental difference.
And I think just the way it is, we have a recall tool right now. And for the record, I don't support no cause, especially the way it's written right now.
And I think there was a telling comment earlier tonight when without cause was called for no reason. And I just don't think anybody gets fired for no reason. And somebody goes out there and collects, they need 25% of the signatures, they talk to 50% of the people, and they drive my name in the dirt to 50% of the people in this town, and they don't get enough signatures to recall me, where do I go to get my good name back? Okay? There's nothing I can do about it.
What's our current, approximately our current registered voters in the town?
7,000.
Okay.
So you're looking at about 2,000 people.
2,000 people, 2,000 valid signatures.
How many did you get for
What-
Zeltman's?
2,000.
Right, and how much did we get for our last election? 400.
But, so.
It's different knocking on a door.
Yeah.
Peter, let me,
You know, if we-
I don't know
if we
about you,
knocked
I
on
knocked
people's
on a
door to
door.
vote, we'd get a lot
How many
better turnout.
signatures did Pike get for his
I think
thing,
he
just
got
as
like
a point of
500.
reference? Right, he got 500,
He got
that's
like
not
500.
20-25% of the
And I've
voters.
also heard that are people calling, trying to get their name off that, is that
But
correct?
we're just saying how, I
Trying to get
think,
their
I
name
think
removed
Scott's,
from the
you know,
petition?
example of how, you know, it
Because
was
it
easy to
really
go out and
wasn't
get those.
explained to them what it was.
So let me address what Bob, for no reason. So one of the things I looked at when I went down this path was, okay, for no reason. I mean, I get that, but then the problem becomes, I think where we are right now, how do we enumerate an entire list of reasons? I mean, you know, we used the example that Councilman Blaze had used about, well, they don't like the color of your tie.
Right.
But let me use a different example. Because somebody mentioned Zeltman. I bet if we had recall without cause during the period of Zeltman, when the town council, wait, hold on.
Okay,
When
all
the
right.
town council passed an annexation and the citizens rose up and said, we're not gonna do that, I would bet if you had recall without cause, not only would the citizens had overturned Zeltman, but they would have got rid of those council members
They did.
because.
You did have
2006.
recalls. There was an instantaneous change at
All
the
but
next
one in
election.
2006.
But that's not my point. I'm sorry. Here's the point. The point is, getting back to your question about reason, I don't believe it's possible in an ordinance to enumerate all the reasons, nor do I think we as sitting council members should enumerate what we think the reasons are. So we leave the reasons to the citizens.
I'm sorry, I don't drive to work for no reason, okay? I don't pay my bills for no reason. Everything that I do, there's a reason behind it. I'm sure that you gentlemen all are the same way. When you recuse yourself from something, you get up and leave the room. There's a reason you do that.
And Bob, I would surmise that the meaning of this, the citizens are going to have a reason. And so Zeltman, somebody brought up Zeltman. That's a great, we'll cut it off. That's a great example. So if the citizens said, look, these guys voted for Zeltman, that was against the will of the community. We overthrew Zeltman and we're gonna recall these people because they're not following our will. The citizens will pick the reasons. So, and with that, I'll conclude.
Technical question, not dealing with overall. Page 3 of 6. The second section A.
Second section A.
Well, there's an A at the top.
Yeah.
And an A at the
then
bottom.
there's an A at the bottom.
Yeah, the certificate.
Right, but that's under 3A, right?
Right, well, I was, you know,
2A,
that was
sorry.
my question. I was like, first off, I think it's 2A now, but I didn't want to confuse
Well, no,
everybody.
Okay,
It's
2A.
becoming 2A. It says town clerk shall
No, sorry,
send.
3A, you're right.
I thought 3A, but keep going.
Okay, it's a
Don't we
town
delete the
clerk,
4?
town clerk shall send written notice thereof to the petitioner within 7 days.
Mhm.
Is that everybody who signed the petition, or is there going to be a single person counted as being the petitioner?
Doesn't say.
Doesn't say, it should be a single person, obviously.
Right, well, but I'm not sure how you work that. Normally the petition would be everybody who signed the petition, but
Basically, it's
Do we
gonna
hit
send
that
notice to
somewhere?
the,
do we send it to all 2,000 people?
well, that would be a nightmare. 'cause
Yeah,
you're
we
paying for all that.
haven't delineated who the petitioner is.
Because they're
But I think the intent is the person that shows up.
anonymous.
The intent's gonna be let's
There's
say.
probably gonna be 15 people who are gonna go out knocking on doors.
So-
I'm guessing it's not gonna be one person knocking on,
No, not to get 2,000 signatures.
you know, on a bunch, it's gonna be a bunch of people knocking on doors.
So if it were
It'll be like
15, I
Zeltman,
think,
they have to have 4 or 5 people, you know?
right, so if it were 15, I would think the intent
Just
of
kidding.
this would be, it's those 15 that present.
Well, somehow we'd have to, you know, the petition itself would have to say, these are the petitioners. Normally, the petitioners would be everybody who signs it.
Yeah, I mean, the petition does require,
We should probably have like a
put
sponsor.
in name and Yeah, I think where that may have come from, let me just see.
Well, with Zeltman, there was
what
no group,
currently
it was everybody that
exists.
signed.
And public hearing isn't struck. It's in here still.
We still have a public hearing.
Well, I was told there was no public
Well,
hearing. We're
no,
gonna end
no,
up having a
there's
process
still-
and we're gonna vote and
Let-
then.
Can I just explain sort of the difference in the derivation of those two, okay? The current provision has this procedure where the town council determines whether or not there's probable cause to move forward. But there's still a public hearing in what's currently, it's just the purpose of it isn't a hearing for the presentation of evidence or a
Right.
determination of probable cause.
Or to hear citizen comment.
Right.
Right, it's presented, here's the petition, and by the way, that's videotaped.
It says it's not.
But we should address Peters.
Okay, so back to Peters. Let me just take a look at what's currently on the books.
Rick, did you want to say something in the meantime while Tom's reading? You look like you're going to.
It's quick. The one thing I brought that I didn't read you, one of the general reasons for submitting a recall petition, quote, fails to meet the voters' expectations. That's a reason.
Yeah.
To Scott, did you say that the special, on the with cause,
With cause, okay.
that the special council meeting has been removed from that?
No, the with cause is there.
Okay.
I'm saying the without cause, there was
Alright.
stuff that was stricken.
On the without cause, or the with cause, this is, I think that's what Chris was saying, it's totally out of bounds. The council shall, after their special hearing, shall issue written findings as to whether probable cause has been established to initiate a recall election.
Which you get into
The council
2014-3.
should have nothing to do in that process, and that should be stricken. If nothing else is adjusted in the original bill, that needs to be taken out, because that's taking it away from the people and putting you into the process where you have no business being.
Agreed.
Get it out of there then. Couple of comments on things that were said, and then I'm gonna leave. 3, has anybody gone on a petition drive? Has anybody knocked on doors? Put down your hand, I know you did.
I've knocked on a lot of doors, I'll tell you that.
Now, have you, no,
Yes.
wait a minute, that was a specific question. Have you knocked on doors on a particular,
Yes.
I got you. Attempting to obtain signatures on a petition, that's a specific question, yea or nay?
Attempting to get people to vote for me.
Okay, that's totally different. I have knocked on doors in the Zeltman campaign. It is not an easy process. You need dedicated people to do it. For trivial reasons, you will not get dedicated people. For trivial reasons, I'm not going to get off my...
How about for
Sure.
no reason? How many do you get for no reason? You
There
said
will be-
trivial reasons, you get none, you said it for no
How
reason.
many sitting at the table would sign a petition, or in the room, would sign a petition when they just said, we want them out? You don't give a reason. Would you sign a petition, anybody here? I would not.
No.
It's not, you're not giving the voters enough credit. They voted for you, Bob, you should give them some credit. They voted for each of you. That we are not gonna sign petitions for somebody that's got a...
So are you saying that you don't
Let's
support,
put it that way.
but Rick, are you,
Just different, I found that to be not necessarily the case. My experience has been people can show up at your door and tell you all kinds of lies and stories.
The petition by law is required to have stuff on it.
only a name?
Oh, it-
According to
no,
no cause, it's a
Wait a
name,
minute,
so-and-so's
it's
gonna be
not gonna
removed.
say recall, it's just gonna
It's gonna
have-
say so-and-so's gonna be recalled, that's it.
Okay.
Doesn't say a reason, just,
So there's
they're
no
gonna be
reasons,
recalled.
and and people
All right.
knock on your door and
That's
say
going
any kind
further
of
than I
reason in
wanted
the
to go,
world,
so
and people will
that's gonna
believe
be
you.
hard to do, and the last point I wanna make, it was sort of alluded to, who thinks that when you got elected, you had a contract for 4 years? Do any of you think that? You didn't get a contract for 4 years. That's the term of office, but nobody guaranteed you when you ran for office, you were gonna be there for 4 years. You can resign, then you break the contract. Just making a point, that's my
No,
opinion,
it's-
it's not
that's
a
accurate.
contract. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
Okay.
I see Bruce raising his hand, and I know as the Board of Elections man, his input is very important on this topic. Whether he can pull off what this says is always the question.
Bruce Wallace, Chair of the Board of Election Supervisors. I went back, I read what you have in front of you, and I read what I submitted, and you left out a very important change.
For
The fact is, I wanted you, and what I suggested is that you remove the chair of the Board of Election Supervisors shall do this and shall do that. It is the Board of Election Supervisors that should do it. Therefore, because the way it is now, you're putting a lot of decisions as to, for instance, the validity of all the signatures in one person's
3 of 6.
determination. I want it to be the Board of Election Supervisors, and that's what I submitted, but was not changed.
Debbie, I'll amend my motion.
And now you can't just blanket it to change it.
Because there's
over,
places where
because
chair
there are
is
times when
appropriate.
They have to tell the board, and then I have to go to the board.
Right,
but-
haven't amended it yet,
Yeah.
haven't said anything.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
But I just make sure that, I didn't want you to blanket,
No, I was
Search and
waiting
replace.
for you to tell us what the second was.
I can tell you if I go through here.
There's actually quite a few places where it shows up.
Yes.
I'd say 3 of 6,
I can pull
C4.
up on my computer again when I submit
Well,
it.
at least in
but,
mine, C4.
Well,
don't
for
know about the no
instance,
cause.
on page 3, upon receiving the recall petition, it says that the chair of the Board of Supervisors elections with the assistance of town staff shall verify. It should be the Board of Election Supervisors, Board of Supervisors of Elections.
Debbie,
with the
Debbie, you have
assistance
that?
of town staff.
It's right here. Well, at least on
If you had my original that I submitted.
might be the
Yeah.
same.
I have it, I can look it up.
I mean, I can pull it up on my computer and show you where
I
I
didn't get that, your original.
made all those changes. And then like the setting of the date, it says the chair of the Board of Supervisors of Elections shall do that,
It should be the Board of
Should be
Election
the board that should do
Get a
that.
consensus of if it's going to pass or not before you modify this thing down to the final I and crossing the T.
I agree.
You get a consensus if it's going to pass, I would just suggest before you cross your Ts and dot your Is, may not even be worth it.
And I agree. The only thing is whatever change he makes affects both, because it should be in both. So his change would apply across.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did
I
submit
agree with the
changes
rest of
for
it,
both
Pat. It's one or the other.
Okay.
So,
So you haven't heard from Ken yet?
Yep.
Haven't heard from Peter?
wait, is that it?
That was my main concern that I wanted to bring to your attention, because I adjusted the technicalities to make it work with the availability of election rolls and when it
I did
hits
notice
the
that. I
election
saw
Should be
that.
changed.
I saw
all
those
that's in
changes that
there,
have been
and I
made.
kept it on the Monday and, things of that nature. And I also changed the wording of the ballots, because if we use electronic ballots, we may have to put it in a certain order. I did that, and, so there are little housekeeping things, but when I read this tonight, I saw that the big mistake that wasn't changed was taking it away from the chair and putting it to the board.
It was forwarded, apparently it was.
Yeah, it wasn't changed.
Call for a vote.
Okay.
Well, I guess we want to get maybe just a consensus on this, and if we get a consensus, we'll sit around and amend it. This would basically withdraw what we have previously and set the new standard as without cause at 30%. And I would just say for me, Dick, were you gonna?
Dick Swanson, 1107 South Main Street. I'm really concerned with the same thing that Rick Blanchford is, and that's this probable cause. Whether you list reasons or don't list reasons, if I were to come out with a petition and I was successful in getting whatever number of signatures, and I put in there that I'd like so-and-so removed for malfeasance in office. All right, I cited my reason. And then it comes to the council, and the council says that's not probable cause, that's a judgment, which is subject to, as it says here, I can take it to court. I'm going to say that the probability is that a court will lean towards the petitioner a lot quicker than they will lean towards the members of council, because of the implication probably to a lot of the people that signed the petition of political motives in the decision. I would suggest that whether you have a list of reasons in there or not, that you remove the probable cause section of it, so that if I submit a petition which you, for some reason, may or may not
like or meet the definition of, in your mind, of probable cause, that doesn't inhibit the democratic process from going forward, which is the people should have the right to speak if they meet the criteria of a sufficient number of those people who believe there should be a referendum. Finally, I'd just like to say that with 30%, 25%, personal opinion I'd say is 20%, because you look at the number of people who turn out in all the elections except for 2006, I don't think we even came close to that. So we're asking for sufficiently more people, significantly more people, to sign a petition to have a recall than we actually have people interested in showing up at the polls in the first place. So I think it's a pretty high bar, 20%. But my main point is, it's the probable cause is a real problem, and I would suggest it be removed.
It's a high bar with you going to their house and getting their signatures. There's no bar when people have to go up there and cast a vote on that Monday.
Well, let's kind of.
So I think we're talking two different things.
Okay, if I'm
Here's
just
my
reading
understanding.
right, I'm assuming Chris is a yes.
Yes.
I'm pretty positive Bob's going to be a no. I'm pretty positive Scott's going to be a
Well,
no.
you already had a
correct?
motion second, why don't you do a vote on it?
Well, we actually have motions, well, we wanted,
They're
before
just
we go,
seeing
before we
before
sit
we
down for the
get in the
question,
weeds.
it's gonna take, we're gonna have to, if we think if it may pass, we're gonna have to get in the weeds and make a bunch of amendments to it,
This is a
changing all that
preliminary
stuff.
Okay.
We just wanna kinda get a
Preliminary,
feel for
whether
where
you
we're
will
going.
approve it or
So
not.
No.
in
No.
principle, I ask that you vote, you support this?
No.
All right,
Uh, If somebody's going to take me out of office, I want to know why. I'm not against recalls, but I want to know why I'm being removed. No, I wouldn't vote for
Peter,
it.
where do
Ken,
you
if
fall?
just, because I
We
need
heard
your
no,
vote.
no, no.
I need your vote. Ken,
No, I'm not going to vote for it.
Ken, but here's the.
Chris,
Chris, it's a no.
it is,
Can I ask that we have a formal vote?
Well, we can't, because we're gonna have to tune the motion.
because we can't really, because we'd have to, in order to have a formal vote, we'd have to sit down and completely amend the thing.
Can we have a formal vote on what we have before us, so that we're not
Right.
facing this again next month and next month and next
So
month?
I'll make a recommendation that this that's
I
being
won't
presented
say-
before us.
Hold on, Bobby, if right now there's 3 votes against this.
Second.
There's 3 votes, the consensus is.
Sorry, I want you to see it up close.
The consensus is 3 council members will not support my effort to, I'm sorry, this is, to me, basic democracy. So I will not bring it up again because I can't get 3 council members to support support an amendment that says the citizens have a right to recall us at will.
I think that this should either be alive or dead.
It's dead. You're a no. If you're a no, and Scott's a no, and Ken's a no, it's dead.
I'm a no with no cause. I'm not a no with citizens having the right to recall at will. They have that right with the current tool.
We voted for that a couple of months ago.
Right.
They
I
have
am
a tool
against-
to recall.
I am against recall for no reason.
Correct.
Okay, well, Chris, my understanding is you're withdrawing this basically at this point.
Yep, because for lack of support from the council. Peter, where do you stand on this?
I will go on record as saying, with fixing up, I would be willing to support this if it stayed at the 30% number. I've just, from what I've seen and from what I've heard from petitions that have been done in town recently, you can knock on people's door and they'll sign anything to get you out of their doorway. And I've heard that from people, and so that's why I would, if it stayed at 30, if we dropped it down, I would not.
Okay,
I
so-
think 30, to me, the 30 was a high enough
You were a
threshold. Well, we didn't take a vote, but yes, I would have, if we made all the fixing up changes.
We need to have a
Yes,
vote.
I would have been willing to
Yeah,
support it.
So I'm sorry, I withdraw the motion.
Okay.
So now we're moving on to the next one, which is the fixes to the cause one.
Okay.
Next up is 2014-3. This is to fix the problems in the currently passed ordinance.
And as commented before by Bruce, on page 3 of 6, C.4, the paragraph, I would like to strike chair of the in. Okay, I'm just saying it for the record. Based off Bruce's changes, I would like to strike chair of the and leave board of supervisors of elections. For the first instance in that paragraph, the second instance in that paragraph, and the third and final instance of that paragraph, which should match with what Debbie has.
I've got 3 of them.
Yep, just in paragraph 4.
And then I'd like to make some suggestions for amendments.
Well, we need a second first. Do we have a second on this one?
I'll second.
We have a second from Bob. Okay, we got a second.
Wait a minute. Who made the motion on that?
Scott moved it. Bob seconded it.
And the motion was to approve it with those 3.
With the 3 changes as
Correct,
presented by
with-
Bruce that I
right.
read off.
And I have suggestions for amendments.
Okay.
My first suggestion for amendment is section 5-12A, no, B, under grounds for recall, a new section 8 as a reason, and the reason is as following: fails to meet expectations. So the reason for the recall would be that the council person or the mayor failed to meet voters' expectations. There's a reason.
Yeah, I
think you've
don't agree
already-
with it. I think it's too
I think
broad.
you've already got it up here. Failure to uphold the oath of office and discharge
different.
the duties of the office to include failure to regularly attend meetings.
This is different.
Well,
So that's
Scott,
fine. He has an amendment. I don't approve the amendment in my motion.
Okay, second suggested change I have is we remove the town council from reviewing the petition. The town council's involved and has to determine whether or not the petition's valid for probable cause. Town council shouldn't be involved in this. Citizens have given you a petition and said, hey, according to your rules, or followed your rules. Okay, let's go.
So who would you recommend putting in that place, Councilman Everidge? Since we already have the Circuit Court of Carroll or Frederick County reviewing anything that this body determines, and as it was pointed out by Mr. Swanson, they're going to lean more towards the petitioner than this body.
How about our town attorney? Because even the town staff is correct.
Do you want to task the town
No, that's
attorney?
not a joke.
No, I'm asking.
He's independent.
What's the question there?
To
wanna be a
determine if
judge?
there's probable cause.
46D1.
For a
We
recall.
Change that to town attorney.
Well, there'd be nobody better. It's going to be taken to the court anyway.
Right.
So we want legal representation anyway. In fact,
Why
during
should
the
it go-
last Zeltman, I think it was the attorney that
But
reviewed it.
Scott, I don't have the language because I didn't count on losing without cause.
Understand, but you're making a motion now for an amendment.
No, I'm asking
so-
for an amendment. I'm asking that you'll amend
what?
this so that you remove the council from looking at this.
And I'd be happy to oblige you if you can give me somebody that goes in that place. We already have the circuit court.
If you wait till the next meeting, I'll give you text. I can't do it on the fly.
Yeah,
well,
Are we introducing this now?
no, it's already been introduced.
This,
This went out to Bruce so that he could give us the Board of Elections changes for time limits and the constraints of who is responsible just for him. It's already a law that exists.
we haven't gotten anywhere yet, Debbie.
So
Okay?
don't mark anything
Yeah,
up.
don't mark anything. We haven't gotten
So
anywhere yet.
this is already a law that exists, and we were trying to get Board of Elections approval because they did not, unfortunately, get the insights to review this and give it to us before it was made a law.
okay, can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
Can we table this to the next meeting so we have an opportunity to look at this, okay, and somehow make sense of this,
Well, we can not only get a copy that's got Bruce's changes fixed,
right?
but maybe we can come up with another proposal for dealing with the council issue.
Yeah, because
I'm fine.
I'm seeing this for the first time really right now.
All right. Scott, is that an issue? Do
You
want
voted on it.
No, I
With
just voted
Bruce's
on his
changes.
changes, any changes.
The only change that was on here was the Bruce's board and change, but I'm fine with it, Bob. I don't have a
Okay,
problem with it.
okay.
It's a law, so we're just trying to fix the law. It can wait until next meeting.
Yeah,
All
can
right,
I
we
make a
will-
motion that we table it until the next?
I
meeting?
will withdraw for now and table it
Okay.
until such time that,
We're tabling it?
Yep.
And we're not doing anything with
Yeah,
this
just
change?
table it.
Yep, make it
Don't
easy.
Scott, don't withdraw it, just table it.
Yeah,
okay,
just
I'll table it.
Just table it.
It'll be on next month's agenda, hopefully with.
And Bruce, can you
correct-
make sure that your changes are in it?
Tabling it?
Yeah, and actually, those changes also include some minor things like the wording of the ballot and,
He has more changes than
Okay, and
Get all those
that gives.
changes.
Can you
that
make
gives
sure,
us an
coordinate with Debbie?
opportunity to look at his changes.
We need to get all those changes. He's gonna
I
coordinate
haven't
with
been
you.
here for 2 months, so I'm kind of a little behind with this.
And you know
It's
what,
okay.
you're doing a great job, Jeb. Great job, Deb. We love you.
time to get up to
We want Lisa back. We want Lisa back.
So we will table it till next meeting.
Okay.
Next, ethics.
All right.
Peter.
given,
We are gonna get ready to go into volume 2.
What?
Do you want me to send Bruce's changes to everybody, or have you all seen them? I don't know.
Give us new ones, give us a new one with all the changes in it for next month.
And Bruce says he actually has more. He has some other
He has
changes.
given them all to me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna send you this.
Right.
Well, no, what you've got there is what we have, but with highlights marked on it.
No, why?
I'm saying, do the actual changes.
Well, that's changing the ordinance. Is that what you want me to do?
Yes.
And then talk to the gentleman right beside you there. Tom,
She's
you
saying
want
Tom.
Tom to change all the, you want Tom to
I
make
think the
these
only thing that
changes?
needs to be changed is where it says chair, and I highlighted those.
Yeah.
The strike
Okay.
There's more, Scott, but-
So you want, okay, so Tom would be the one who actually would redraft that.
Right, and do we wanna make those changes that he, don't you wanna hear those changes before you have Tom make them, is what I'm saying?
Right there.
There's another one I'm not going to.
Yeah, I've got these changes.
Sorry.
Those are the only ones that he just.
Just make sure that the copy that we deal with next month has those changes on it. Somebody.
Yeah, why don't you give me what I have, I'll relook at what
Whether
Bruce
Tom's
said.
gonna do it or Debbie's gonna do it.
No, I'll make them.
Okay.
That's fine.
Next month, the copy we get should have those changes.
And what I would like to see is an opportunity to look at them ahead of time. You know, please.
Yep, okay. Ethics ordinance.
I move, given the late hour and despite the beating we're gonna get from our ethics chair, I'll move we table this to next meeting.
The ethics?
Yeah.
Is there any constraints with ethics?
Well, he's gonna tell us what they are, but
I still move we table it.
I have reason to support that.
I know, but I move we table this next
yeah,
meeting.
okay, let's hear what Dick has to say.
Dick Swanson, Chair of the Ethics Commission, and by tabling that, the Ethics Commission will be sending a letter to the State Ethics Commission saying that we are in noncompliance with state law and unable to certify that the Town of Mount Airy's ethics ordinance meets state law. That's due by October 1st, and I have no idea what repercussions that'll have, since this will probably be about the third year that we've gone around. And as I mentioned last month, we are about down to one of the last 5 municipalities in the entire state of Maryland still holding out, even though most municipalities fundamentally disagree with certain sections of the law, similar to the areas we disagree with, but believe that they don't want to, it's better if they don't continue to be in noncompliance. The position of the Ethics Commission has been for the entire 3 years that this is not a fight between the town of Mount Airy and the State Ethics Commission. This is solely an issue that should be, needs be, and must be addressed, hopefully someday successfully, in the state legislature through a change in the law. The State of Maryland Ethics Commission is required to enforce that, and if you were to table it or to vote it down, then we will send our letter saying that we are in noncompliance with state law.
Mr. Mayor?
I agree with Dick Swanson, but I've talked to the petitioners or the people that are presenting the state bill, and they feel that this would be our case if all the municipalities just tumble and.
Hence my
yes,
reason for tabling.
And I think there's good reasons to table. And I would advise us to reach out to the city of Gaithersburg and follow their lead. They are supporting
Well,
the state.
I guess Chris is, for lack of a better term, has made a motion, we table it.
I'll second it.
We got a second. Any real discussion on tabling this? All in favor of tabling until next month, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
One opposed.
And I'm fundamentally, I will not vote for something that I can't vote for it just because the state says we have to have it. If we fundamentally agree with something, disagree with something, I think we should vote against it.
Okay, up next.
Wait a minute, could you please keep your ethics ordinance? We kill a tree about every month, so keep the.
Yeah, we won't let this one go because it's not changing.
Right, it's gonna be the same, so and the number should be right on it, it's the revised number, the 214.3, I gave it several months ago.
Yeah, the recycle guy won't hardly take my bin anymore because it's got ethics ordinances in it.
That means I put it in my box, so it stays out there till next month. Okay, moving on to approve the MOU with the Mount Airy Community Fund regarding the boost. And that was all sent around to us, no? I think that's
Now,
probably,
well, it's on your, at your seat.
right. But he actually emailed us one.
Did.
Sorry, where are we? sorry.
The MOU.
Okay, on the caboose, yes. This is what you have is, what I emailed today, and what hopefully you have today, is the final MOU that has been agreed to. Basically, it assures the town that the town will receive the caboose after it has been refurbished. The town obviously paying for it, or at least a substantial portion of it, less grants, of course. So that's the central function of the MOU. And there's some additional language about reviewing certain shipping documents when it comes back after it's being refurbished, because we want to know who's responsible in the event that the caboose is damaged in transit, and are able to protect ourselves in that event. So those are some of the main purposes of the MOU.
We're basically just authorizing the mayor to sign this.
Correct.
So I will move that we accept it. I see a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Next.
The caboose is all sorted out. Okay, new business, recommendations for award of the water station number 2 upgrade project, and we've got that here in front of us. Is that Barney or Rachel?
This treatment plant and booster pumping station is the only remaining station that needs a complete overhaul. And the overhaul will allow the station to be brought up to date and similar with the other water stations that are in town. Currently, maintenance staff has been keeping it running. However, the station is overdue for this needed replacement. In consideration of the bidding process, there was 3 options due to the nature of this station in itself. Option A, the overhaul of the station, bringing it up to date, is functioning as it is now, allowing it to be similar to the other stations. Option B is an anticipation of an easement that is needed for the force main installation in the area that has to get put in. Option C, excuse me, allows for the addition of the nitrate removal systems for when the wells from Harrison and Ligier farms come in. So that's the differentiation.
This is the facility by the apartment buildings, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
that's how I identified it.
Okay, sorry.
Well, because this is Watersville Road, and that's like not really quite on Watersville Road.
Yeah, it's
It's kind of way down.
way in the back past the apartments.
If I was assigning an address, I would have assigned an address on 27, I think.
Yeah,
Just me, I just want to, okay, so at least I know which station we're talking about.
okay, sorry about that.
No, that's okay, you put it the way it is, that's why I asked.
Okay, so in the process, we had 9 companies receive bidding documents from Town Hall. We actually received 2 bids were submitted and accepted. You can see the attached bid review for detailed breakdown of the results. Currently, there's approximately $1.3 million available in the existing Department of Housing and Community Development loan. So you have that for your information. And, so town staff recommends awarding the water station number 2 upgrade to Conawago Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $1,059,390.
So you're recommending option A?
Yes, that is option A. Because that, option A is currently ready to go right now as it is, without the other things that are in balance, are in waiting.
All right, so I'll move that the town obligates that set amount, $1,059,390 for option A, that Conowingo Enterprises for water station number 2 upgrade.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It was unanimous, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to, actually,
Rails
I gotta make
Trails,
sure, yeah,
trails,
I've got- that's, like, I gotta change agendas here, I pulled the wrong
Can we
agenda up
submit
here.
all of them together?
Alrighty, moving to the
Motion all together at once.
Rails to Trails temporary easements.
Got to make sure Larry's not opposed to any of these.
I will move we accept all of the temporary easements. Second. Okay. Anybody want to have any discussion or briefing on them? Tom passed them all out to us. They're all pretty standard.
One question. If somebody's out there and gets hurt, the town has responsibility, not the landowner, right?
That's correct. They
Okay.
demanded indemnification.
Has Townview received it yet? I talked to Christine tonight, and they're concerned they don't have it yet.
Don't have what?
Any kind of waiver for people working on their land right now.
I was not aware that we had people working on their land right now, number one. Number two,
I think we may have stepped over a few
Well,
times.
actually, people from Townview came down and were cleaning their own land.
It was muddy.
I'm just saying we may want to look
I
at that.
checked today, Townview has not filed yet.
they have not.
Okay,
I heard back.
Townview is going to, I talked to her today about that. She's also going to turn everything over to you tomorrow.
Okay.
She checked today and it still didn't come back. I said, enough.
I checked SDAT
I know,
today and they
you're
still
right,
had not.
you're right. I said, the council's had enough. You need to turn it over to our attorney tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
And they need their
Now, in
waiver.
terms of a waiver, they're asking for an indemnification.
Hit this one first.
Yeah, let's finish
We'll
this,
finish these
because
four.
that's not an easement issue.
Let's get this
Um,
First, second.
All in favor,
discussion,
say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Done.
Okay, now we're on to the mayor's question about rails to
Four
trails.
ones.
Should this be handled in the closed session?
Yes. It's property acquisition, isn't it?
Yes, it is. What are we about to discuss?
Well,
are
that's
we
why
about-
maybe we need to
town view?
discuss it in a closed
Okay.
session.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
It's on
because we do
acquisition
have
property.
rails to trails, and that's,
Yes.
and it is dealing with the Townview subject.
That's right.
So, Larry?
Larry threw a
I want
pen.
to make a quick comment that the Gallagher property runs all the way down to St. Andrews property. So it adjoins Townview, but it extends all the way down to St. Andrews, down the railway.
We were on the Gallagher side.
We were working on the Gallagher side.
Okay.
That's what I
Good.
thought.
Thank you.
Good clarification.
Okay,
Next.
we got that sorted out. Mayor's report.
Okay, I hope everyone had a fantastic summer. I want to remind everybody that with school back in session, to please be careful on our roads. We also will notice it's darker later in the morning, so please be careful. There's joggers out there, so let's be careful. Let's be careful of the kids out on the streets. The students that need service learning hours, please contact Town Hall for a list of opportunities. Larry, I know we owe a big thanks to Digging and Rigging and probably several other people that have really helped out. Do you want to name them real quick, or you okay?
Please do.
The list is too long, but Digging and Rigging, it's on the website. Mount Airy Rails to Trails.org. Please support those businesses to help support your community. I also want to let people know that we have several ways to stay connected with the town. We have the town website, town Facebook page, we have a Twitter account, and we have an emergency notification link. They're all available on the town website. Also want to remind people, Sunday, October 20th, check to make sure this Sunday is October 20th.
Saturday.
Is it the 19th? Well, this is for the third annual, where the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer
Oh, that's
Walk
the
is
19th.
Sunday, October 19th.
I think it, yes.
I think this is from my last.
October 19th
It's
is
the
a
19th,
Sunday.
okay. So please come out. Registration starts at 9. The walk starts at 10. It's a very inspirational walk. Please come out and be a part of it. You can also form your own team. It's exciting. If you need help, please reach out to Town Hall. We will help guide you there. That does conclude my mayor's report. I have two commission recommendations. I'd like to recommend Zach Peters to Economic Development and Richard Blatchford to Water and Sewer.
I move we accept the mayor's recommendations
How
as
about,
presented.
since both of those are mine, I move.
Actually, there's more.
Oh, hold on, there's list was more. Those are only two I had to.
More.
Only
Oh, you
two
got
I had to
Tina
talk
Swanson
about.
and
Tina
Amanda
Swanson wants to come back to beautification. That's awesome. And Amanda Patterson, thank you. She will become an alternate. Okay, she's already on there. So we got Tina Swanson, and then we have reappointments of Tom Fleming to Streets and Roads and Bill McCullough to Economic Development.
I'll move we accept them all.
Bob wants to make the motion.
Bob wants to make the
I'd
motion.
like to move that we accept them all.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And EDC, water and sewer.
EDC, water and sewer. Okay, I got two things that are not mine, but I'm going to jump on them real quick. This next week, September 13th to September 20th, MAMSA is having History 101 downtown. There are events all week long. Some really good, these are good events to go to, and I think it ends the 20th with the Dale Corn concert down in the rail yard. So check that out. There's been one schedule change. Monday, September 15th at Pine Grove Chapel, Jennifer Winter will be there to discuss slavery in Maryland, focusing on the emancipation and what life was like in our region for slaves in the aftermath of the Civil War. Okay, the second thing where I'm stepping out of bounds here, Tuesday, September the 20th, Watkins Park, 5:30 under the pavilion at the Town Appreciation Dinner for all the volunteers, for all the commissions. Be there or be square.
Boy, that's an old saying, Bob.
Yeah.
Well, and there were
Only square people use that one, I think.
There's a special presentation for
There's a special
Volunteer of the Year.
presentation for Volunteer of the Year.
Come find out who that special volunteer is.
Councilman Bob?
Yeah.
What date did you say here?
That would be September the 30th.
I heard 20th, I thought I was not, I was thinking
That's,
trips to
just to
Long
clarify,
Island.
that is September the 30th, Tuesday, 5:30. Be there or be square. Now that I'm off of that. Water and sewer. We're looking through our MOA between the county and several municipalities that are banding together to work to establish a stormwater management policy and address the rain tax issue. That's with Carroll County. Frederick County, we're not so lucky, but there's a meeting scheduled to try and reach some kind of understanding and how we're going to deal with the stormwater management, the rain tax on that side of town.
Frederick's
Wanna-
done-
on the Frederick side. So,
Frederick's done nothing so far.
well, so far, there's nothing with Frederick. We have high hopes with Carroll. Want to welcome our latest commission member, Rick Blatchford. We still have openings. I can't imagine that we would have openings with me and Dick Swanson on the same commission. And now Rick Blatchford.
It's hard to imagine.
It's hard to imagine that we would have openings, but we do. So if you want to come work with the big boys, write to Water and Sewer. See the mayor, and he can tell you what it's all about. The wastewater treatment plant flow for August was 0.611 million gallons per day. That's about 50% of our allotted permit. Next meeting's on October the 1st, 7 o'clock at Town Hall. Economic Development Commission. The Economic Development's responsible for publishing the Mount Airy tracts this year, 2 editions. Melissa Hoyle has contacted the chairs and should have been most of the council on the deadlines and kind of suggesting contacts, so citizens be watching for their copy of the latest copy of the Maryland tracts coming soon. We're looking for a way to encourage commercial development in the downtown area and throughout Mount Airy. We're really trying to find out something we can do that will solidly help business development in this area. And I want to welcome Zach Peters aboard. Melissa Hoyle's our staffer, and she gives us a different view from somebody who's a different age. All of us on the commission are pretty much old. We all, that's not what I'm talking about. That's economic development.
I have known Bob for 45 years maybe, so I can say we're old.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to Zach coming on there, and with Melissa, we get a very different view of economic development and a different worldview, so it's very refreshing. The next EDC meeting is Wednesday, September the 21st, 7:30 at Town Hall. And that is my report.
All righty, beautification, parks and rec. Beautification, I'll be quick on this. Beautification, if you go take a look at Watkins Park, if you're out there for the caboose move, you'll see the new signs up. Looks really nice. Came out real nice. They are moving on to the next 3 signs, starting the planning for that. That's going to be in Wildwood, Prospect, and East West. I think Prospect is probably the next one that's going to be coming up because there's really just in need of a good new sign. They're also working on a Name the Dinosaur project. You've seen the dinosaurs have been out there, and Mary Hushhour was real nice and went and painted them.
I'm thinking Bob.
Littlefoot.
One's painted red, white, and blue, and then the other one is painted in the Maryland colors. And what they're gonna do, they're gonna go to the 2 elementary schools in town that are K to 2 with like a little dinosaur coloring thing, and the kids are gonna have the option of giving the dinosaurs the names. And then they're gonna sit down and pick the dinosaur names, and we'll have the kids come and maybe get a certificate from the mayor or something that they pick the names for the dinosaurs, and then we'll eventually get little plaques for the dinosaurs that name them. Actually, the tentative names were Mary and Sam. Mary from Maryland, Sam for Uncle Sam from Red, White, and Blue. But whatever the kids come up with is what we'll go with. But those were Mary's suggestions, Mary and Sam. So beautification's working on that. Next beautification meeting will be 8/18. All right.
8/18? 9?
Okay, 9/18. Give me a break here. Let me double check that. Nope. 9/16. You're right. I'm off. I had the wrong month showing up when I wrote these. 9/18. Okay, 9/18 is Parks. That's right. Okay. Parks. Parks has had. Well, first off, while I'm thinking about it, I also want to push the Shake Your Caboose for Rails to Trails. Dale Korn, so Saturday, September 20th, 2014, in the rail yard. He's like a Sinatra guy.
Local boy.
Does Sinatra tunes.
Yeah.
So that's out to support the caboose. Something else that Parks has had a request on, they're going to be working on a policy. We're not really sure, but kind of like to get any ideas come in from the council, which is the idea of naming park facilities after people. You know, we've been approached, you know, in reference to some parks about whether we should name this park after a person or this ball field after a person. Now, we have done it obviously in the past. We have Watkins Park. And we have, the trail is named?
The Wilson Trail.
The Wilson Trail.
We have the soccer field at Village Gate, and Brandon.
Okay.
Bryson.
So we're you know, we've had some discussions on that, so we're gonna try and come up with some kind of policy for maybe, you know, coming up with a naming, like maybe we can like lease parks out to major corporations like FedEx Field or something, but.
Frank Dirks Ball Field, I can see it now.
Yeah. So,
I say we talk to the Historical Society and get that.
But we have had some, we're discussing the idea of naming fields. This coming Friday, we will be showing Back to the Future. That'll be this weekend's movie. We will send you back to the future, that's as Doc Brown put it. A great picture. Don't miss it. I've forgotten whether it's going to be in Watkins or Wildwood. It's going to be in Wildwood this time? Okay.
Bring your flux capacity.
Back to the Future, 1, 2, or 3?
1.
You don't want to do a marathon?
I would have said 2 if it was 2. I would have said 3. If you want a marathon, come over to my house. I have all 3 on Blu-ray. So Back to the Future.
State his address.
Back to the Future's coming up.
I'll give everybody my address.
And if you take a look, some of the new stuff that's going on. We've had an Eagle Scout who's put in some bench work and some other things, which all looks really nice. Always do real well. Then we've also been reviewing and working on the skate park rules to go in there. Our next meeting will be 9/18 in this room at 7, and that will be my report. I think I got everything right, Larry? I mean, I know I had to get this, and obviously there's Rail to Trails work days all the time, so come out for those. And up next is P&Z and Community Center Task Force.
So planning, one of the things we approved last month was Willard Agriculture, sorry.
The fertilizer plant.
Thank you, Willard, the fertilizer plant. They've added a new tank, which they had previously planned on a few years ago, so it's always nice to see a local business expanded.
Yeah, actually, they planned on that like in
1970.
Yeah, because Heather and I pulled the old plans out we were studying to see what they were asking for, and that thing's been on the plans for a long time.
Right, and along with that, there was a discussion sort of held about public safety, and Willard is known by our fire department.
Very proactive.
Very, very proactive, very well respected. The fire department inspects their facilities, very, very happy with how they manage things. We took a look at had some discussions over the 2014 Carroll County Master Plan. Part of that discussion, Harrison LaShire came up again. So only, came up in context as to what, what we're doing from a council perspective. So just to mention to the council that we should, probably try to re-engage Harrison this year. Now, I know that's dependent on the OPE and the MDX zoning formats, which the committees are working on that as well. The other thing to note is we had a pretty lengthy discussion about Frederick County's master plan, and I know folks on TV can't see it, but over here against the, we've got an easel set up. If you can see all the yellow, one of the things I believe we concluded with the Frederick County master plan, aside from Frederick County trying to put in as much concrete as it possibly can along Interstate 70, folks in this region should know, based on the questions we asked the Frederick County planner, Frederick County doesn't seem to have a plan for traffic. In other words, when the Frederick County folks took care of their planning, their master planning, their development planning, they looked at their roads. Well, they sized their roads for the traffic that the community generates, and then they dump it on either 270 or Interstate 70. And then Frederick County throws its hands up in the air and says, well, 70, 270, those are federal highways. That's not our problem. So as Frederick County goes down this course of building, what was it, Heather, 10,000 homes? Approximately 10,000 homes. Folks in this area should realize if you think 270 is a parking lot now, you ain't seen nothing lit yet. And if you've enjoyed driving on 70 during rush hour, in the next few years, you'll be looking at what? You'll be looking at 270. So I'll express my personal opinion. It's extremely disappointing to see Frederick County weaken their AFPO, basically cave in to whatever a developer wants and put that kind of housing density, which I think is irresponsible and will completely jam the roads in this area up for the foreseeable future. So a little bit of politicizing on my part, but very, very disappointing. Finally, we're also working on the Highway 27 corridor study, so fairly soon, maybe in the next meeting, we'll... Yeah, we're going to try to get out, put the RFP for the corridor study on the table, so everybody who's involved or has interest in what this RFP will look like can contribute to that. In other words, the corridor study is to look at the entire length of 27 to determine, how this area will develop, traffic patterns, issues like that. But, as we all know, the results of the corridor study all depend on the questions that we ask. So we're going to put the RFP on the table and ask folks who are interested in the corridor study, please join us. If you want a copy, please ask. And if there are things you would like to see in the corridor study, please let us know what your opinions are on how we should drive that. Moving on to Community Center Task Force. Community Center Task Force is kind of now coming down to really 3 options. So,
what are the 3?
Well, there's the Community Center Task Force will likely come to the council in the near future. I don't have a date for you yet, with 3 options, a small, medium, and large option for a community center. Each option will have, hey, here's what we can do in a small center, here's what we can't, here's what we can do in a large center, here's what we can't, and then also we'll come up with a notional cost to build it and a notional cost to run it. So that task force has really done.
Are there locational recommendations in there as well?
There will be.
There will be location recommendations as well, and that's all based on community feedback. So, hats off to Amethyst and the rest of the Community Center Task Force, Mary Beth, who's here with us this evening, who've taken an awful lot of information and tried to boil it down to 3 decision points for the council and the community to consider. That's my report.
All right. Recycling sanitation.
Mine's easy. We didn't have a meeting. Our next meeting's 9/17 at 7 p.m.
And the trash has all been picked up.
Concludes my report.
Great job.
Great job.
I believe in efficiency.
Streets and roads.
I'll make mine short too, because they have a number of issues, streets and roads, that they're discussing. One of them is more signage in Sterling Grand. Some of the people over there would like to have some more signs warning of children and slow people down, and stop signs and things, and they're looking at that. Also, the issue of plowing Watersville Road came up from Nottingham request. When town goes up to plow Nottingham, they would like Watersville Road plowed also. Maybe something can be worked out on that. I don't know.
We've discussed that here at the council.
I know, a long time ago, and but they're requesting again, maybe.
Yeah, Monica's going to look into
so
an MOU so we can
that's
probably.
one of the issues that, next meeting is October the 30th for the streets and roads.
Great job on
Okay, so, well, that's a good update then, Pat, that we're gonna look at maybe coming up with a deal with the.
Yeah, Monica's gonna
Not that we're gonna
research.
seriously plow, but at least when we drive over there, we can
Drive
have the
the
blade, we can have the blade
We just
down.
want to see, make sure they'll be okay with that.
Yeah, need to make sure the county's good.
Yeah, because we get out here in town 2 days before all the
For
people.
everybody else, yeah, I can drive around town long before I can get anywhere else. Okay, good. Town administrator report, Monica.
Dick and I are gonna go up to the county tomorrow for a extended lunch meeting, to try to work through the rest of this operational agreement for the stormwater remediation fee, the agreement that we have with the county, so it's all gonna be the managers, and I'm dragging Dick with me. We decided to keep the town attorneys out of this session for, until later. Tom's already kind of done a preliminary review of the agreement, and he sent back suggestions, as did all the other town attorneys, so we're working through that process. It's just gonna be it's gonna be a 3 or 4 hour session, but they are gonna feed us, so that's good.
You done? Thanks, Monica. Tom?
Yeah, I'll be brief, other than basically working on the stuff you've had here today. I was asked to address Harrison this year. Essentially, first of all, on the master plan, of course, what's critical is that if we wanted to proceed with this, that whatever we want, the council wants to do by way of annexation and imposing zoning has to be consistent with our master plan at the end of the day. Currently, the master plan draft as to most of the property lines up with what has been planned for, or been discussed at least, in terms of, what parts become office park, what parts become open space park, et cetera. The council for the IDA did have one concern, and that is that currently the Shear Farm is listed completely as open space, and he points out that a portion of that, if the town goes forward with an annexation, a part of that would be a part of the office park, so that you may need to look at revamping a little bit or tweaking the language of the master plan as respects proposed future zoning for just the LaShear Farm part of that. Secondly, as we discussed the last time, the IDA has or is developing sort of loosely termed a concept plan. It's not a concept plan in the formal sense that the Planning Commission reviews, but something from which the state could review and determine what road improvements might be required, something from which, something that could be presented to the town when considering annexation, when getting public comment, so that people can see sort of what's planned. And also, I think that fairly, we've asked that some sort of traffic study be done at the annexation stage, so that can be appropriately considered. Anyway, that concept plan is still in the works, but we understand that it's nearly completed, and they'll next submit that to the state so that the state can give feedback as to what road improvements it would likely require based on those concept plans, so that then they can begin to work traffic studies and things like that we've requested. Obviously, one of the next things that we need to do is develop and ultimately finalize, I should say, the office park district. IDA's council has weighed in with some comments on that, which most of you, if not all of you, have seen. So he's done that. So essentially, things are progressing. It's slow, but I think that that's kind of the state of things as currently things stand. And that would conclude my report.
All right. Any other business? I'll move the bills be paid.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to move that we go into a closed meeting as allowed for by state government, Article 10-508A3, to consider acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto. Topics to be rails to trails, also to consult with staff, consultants or other individuals about pending potential litigation, and to consult with council to obtain legal advice on a legal matter. Also personnel issues, appointment, compensation, appointees and employees, etc. And I will move that when we are done, included in that motion, that when we are done with that closed session, that we be adjourned.
Second.
I think I have to do a roll call, Debbie, don't I?
Yes.
Well, I'll go ahead and do it. King?
Yes.
Everett?
Aye.
Helt? Aye.
Aye.
Strong? Beavis? Aye. And
Are we
Mayor?
gonna come back in for a vote on that to, or introduce it, so it can be voted on to next meeting?
Yes, okay,
we'll
well,
come
then,
back in
we will come quickly we'll come quickly into an open session, I guess, when we're done anyways, yeah, we will. I'm thinking, you wanna do rails to trails first and have Larry stay for that?
Yeah, I don't know that I have much.